observe in real time. The Board of Education, Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District, we're convening at 1912 hours. This is the April 18th regular meeting. We're calling it to order at this time. Be advised these meetings are televised as well. Channel 28, Wednesday and Saturday evenings, and on Monday, Friday, and Saturday mornings. We're going to begin this evening with the flag salute led by our kids at Lawrence Elementary. So if we can, teachers can gather them up and get the kids up here and lead us. As we get the mic, you give them their mic. They're going to give you a microphone so we can hear you. There you go. So we're going to go on your cue. When you start, we start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job. Thank you. We're running a little bit late. We're coming in from closed session. So we ran about 12 minutes late. Any actions that we take in closed session, we report out in open session. And with that, I'd ask our clerk to report out any actions taken.
Mr. President, in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of student H. Based upon that information, I move that we approve the staff recommendation for the stipulated expulsion of student H.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. We have a motion by Trustee Prusso in support of the superintendent's recommendation. It's been seconded by Trustee Druin. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously.
And then also we have a second expulsion readout. In closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of student I. Based upon that information, I move that we approve the staff recommendation for the stipulated expulsion of student I.
Second?
Same order on the recommendation and second. Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye, and that motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving into section 3, this is D. David. Just a little bit about the boilerplate stuff, just some housekeeping things. There's a lot of folks in here tonight. Just if we were to have to leave orderly, there's an exit in the back. There's one on the side. There's one in that back corner, or we can come out the way you guys came in. And if during the meeting anyone needs to use the restroom facilities or go out and have a conversation or something, you can go right out through, and the restrooms are right across the hallway. Again, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Education for the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District, where our primary focus is on the education of students of this school district. During our meeting, you, our members of the public, will have the opportunity to share information, voice your ideas and concerns regarding matters within the jurisdiction of this public agency. During our discussion on each agenda item, there will be a time for you to have the opportunity to speak to that item. If the topic you want to address is not on the agenda, we ask that you please fill out a tan speaker card. I've got a few of them up here. And we'll call you up under public comment section 8.1. If you wish to address a topic that is on the agenda, please fill out a blue speaker card and hand that into either of the adults on either end, and they'll kind of make their way up here. Again, as a reminder, these meetings are televised. They're Channel 28, the great Tri-Valley TV, Wednesday and Saturday evenings at 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 10, Friday and Saturday mornings at 0900. Moving into section 4, changes to the agenda. I'd ask our superintendent, Mr. Chris Van Schack, if there's any.
Thank you, President Bueno. I do have a recommendation this evening, and that is to move items 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3, which are approval of course descriptions. We have some teachers here to provide input. I recommend that we move those up on the agenda to the beginning of 9.0 so that they can provide their input and get on home. I know they have lots of things to do.
No objection. Just by head nod, we good?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Perfect.
Okay. Just gonna make my little notes here. It's here. All right. Thank you. All right, so we're
All
gonna
right.
move in our recognitions.
Fantastic. This evening, we have the honor of honoring a number of students. We'd like to start with Christy Starkovich, the principal of Lawrence Elementary School, who's going to share with us some of her outstanding students.
Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet, and community. I am the principal, as Mr. Van Schack said, of Lawrence Elementary, and it gives me great pleasure this evening to recognize Lawrence Elementary's first student lighthouse team. They're a little nervous, but I told them it's okay, just smile and enjoy because we have a lot to be proud of. With us this evening is Amelia Allen, Stella Atwell, Alexa Donatucci, Alex Lugo, Kaliana Fisher, and Julia Shaju. Charlotte Rosanna could not make it tonight. You might be asking yourselves, what is the Student Lighthouse team? Well, just like a lighthouse, this team is guiding our campus, starting initiatives and making changes at Lawrence Elementary. And it started with Miss A and Mrs. Waffler, two of our fifth grade teachers. We're excited to add other staff members to it next year. They reached out and said, we are going to start a student lighthouse team. And guess what? Just like you'll hear later in my presentations, these students had to get an application and fill it out like a real life job application. It was pretty intense. There was questions they needed to answer, and they had to go to a staff member to have a rubric completed, making sure that they met the qualifications of what it meant to be on the lighthouse team. After they turned in their applications, and they're getting an idea of what it's going to be like when they get older and want to start working and helping parents out a little bit, they were interviewed. So during their fifth grade PE time, I went outside and supervised PE, which I didn't have to do because if you know the students there, they led PE and I watched and had fun. And these ladies were called in one at a time to have that Miss Waffler and Miss A conducted an interview for. They shined. It was brought to my attention that they were less nervous than some of the candidates that we interview on our panels for LVJUSD. So after they were selected, they are now in the process of making that change and starting that initiative here at Lawrence Elementary. They are doing special tours to special guests. Trustee Druin was one of the first individuals that toured Lawrence Elementary under this lighthouse team. They're working with PTO to help plan events, and they are doing advertising, and honestly, the sky is the limit. We are excited that this is our first lighthouse team. Next year, it will go all the way down to kindergarten, so we'll have kindergarten through fifth grade. So ladies, thank you so much for being the leaders you are and being committed to making Lawrence a wonderful place to be in our community.
And for the folks who were in the lobby, some seats have opened up, so I know you can hear us out there, but there's some seats, and for the folks in the back and stuff, we can kind of filter into some seats, if you choose. All right, I believe we have another.
All right, we do.
5-2?
We do. So Livermore, of course, has an incredible connection to the science community, and one of our favorite events each year is our Science Odyssey. So I'm going to invite Chris Connor up. He is our Director of Elementary Education, and he is going to help us to recognize the Science Odyssey Award winners for this past year. So Chris?
There you go.
Testing. Thank you. Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Cabinet, Superintendent Van Schaak, and community members. It's my honour to recognise our phenomenal students this evening. And before I go into the presentation, I would like to invite our best of show students down to the front here. So when I call your name, students, please come down to the front here, and Mr. Krolakowski will help you just get in a line here. So first of all, we have Vaishnavi Menon and Dia Sajin. Estrella Luciano. Anna Stats. Emma Leninger. Alethea Lolis. And that is our best of show students. Okay. In Livermore, we value science. We have the Livermore National Laboratory. We have the Science of Agriculture and Viticulture. We even have an element named after our city, Livermorium. Similarly, in our school districts, we see the importance of science. And one of the ways we promote a love of science is through our Science Odyssey for our students in grades 1 through 12 across our district. This year was our 23rd annual Science Odyssey, and we are so impressed with our young scientists and engineers. Our students have shared their curiosity and passion for science. They explored real-world phenomena, asked thoughtful questions, generated hypotheses, created well-organized experiments, and designed very innovative engineering projects. Some fun facts: we had students across the district from elementary and our secondary schools participate in our Science Odyssey, and we had actually over 350 students be part of our celebration of science. Of course, it took many people to make this important event happen, and I'd like to say thank you to our leaders who are on the screen there. We have our event and judging coordinators, Regina Brinker and Roya Husseini, and then our Science Odyssey Committee, who worked for months to plan our Science Odyssey event. And then in addition to that core group, we had numerous volunteers. You can see their names there. I won't read every name, but I do want these people to know that we couldn't do without them, and we very much value their partnership. There's one person who's a key member of this team who's been very modest and didn't put her name in here, and that is the executive assistant of the curriculum department. Her name is Caroline Gujarati, and we definitely couldn't have done it without her. So I'd like to say a special thank you to Caroline. These are some of our award sponsors and partners from our community who supported Science Odyssey with awards for students and also actively participated. We had over 15 exhibits at Science Odyssey from local science groups. Now to the fun part, recognizing our amazing students. So these next few slides are all about the best of show. The best of show is, just as it sounds, is the very best of all of our students. And we had some amazing competition out there, but our judges all agreed that these were fantastic projects. So first up for science investigation in grades 1 through 3, our Best of Show award will go to, I was going to say Vaishnavi, but you like to be called Ami, right? So Ami Menon and Dia Sajin. And their project was landscaping with native plants. Next up in grades 4 through 5, also for science investigation, we have the Best of Show award for Estrella Luciano with her wonderful and original project, Irregular versus Platonic Shapes. Next up, we will recognize Anna Stats for Does CO2 Affect Plant Growth? And this was the Best of Show for grades 6 through 8. And now we have Emma Leninger with her project, How Does Pouch Design Affect the Distance a Payload is Thrown by a Trebuchet? This is the Best of Show award for engineering in grades 3 through 5. Finally, in Best of Show, and also from the same family, I think, as Estrella, so what a wonderful family this is, we are recognizing Alethea Lollis for her epidemiology project, Opening Mindsets with the Shower Effect. This was a math project for grades 6 through 8. Congratulations to our Best of Show winners. Now, unfortunately for Best of Show winners, well, I guess it was fortunately, they also were recognized in other categories, some of our outstanding students, so they're going to have to stand here for now. And then for all of our special awards, there are so many students, I'm going to ask you to stay seated for now, but once I go through all of the awards, I will ask all of our students to come to the front, and we will give them all a big round of applause. Okay, one of our partners are the Tri-Valley Air Quality Climate Alliance group, and they presented special awards to several students, and Claire Mason, Amina Molina, and Anna Stats were recognized here for being Green Schoolyard scientists. From the same group, Tejasvin Ranganathan and Navitha Kadali Darshini Bindaraj also received recognitions and a special award for technology-based climate solutions. Next up, we have nature-based climate solutions, and this special award was given to Ami Menon and Dia Sajin, who were also Best of Show winners. Moving into Quest Science Innovation Awards, Elabeth Fretan Dunyo and Ella Coatsbauer were both recognized in grades 1 through 2 and grades 3 through 5 respectively for their innovative projects. Next up, Anna Stats, another Best of Show winner, and Shrish Prem Krishna were also recognized from our middle school and our high school respectively. Moving into the One Water Special Awards, and I judged several projects, and it was very difficult to pick these winners because there were so many amazing awards, amazing projects in this category. This is sponsored by our City of Livermore Water Resources Division, also Zone 7 Water and Cal Water, who all participated with exhibits on the Science Odyssey event as well. Ami Menon and Dia Sajin won awards for the grand prize, and then Isha Kamaredi, Carl Bleistad, and then finally Isha Rajavel, Alicia Theren, and Carly Thinfin all received awards for this special One Water category. In addition to this, we would like to recognize Adiro Prem Kumar, Henry Glasgow, Adithi Chakera, Vihana Venkatesh, as well for the One Water Special Awards. And moving on now to another environmental award, and this is Stop Waste. We have our students here who are recognized for Stop Waste. We have Kavya Aravind, Shonak Bhattacharjee, Darshini Bundaraj, Riva Braze, Sri Pranav Dandasi, Navitha Kadali, Maren Kendrick, Levi Mason, Ruthvik Morali, Andrew Obal, Franklin Pepel, Thejasvin Renganathan. In addition to celebrating our scientists and our engineers, we also want to recognize how amazing it can be when we combine it with art. And we had an art logo contest, and our winner is Benita Alvarado Garcia. This was the logo design winner, and actually board members, I have a little sticker for you that I'll bring down later. And you may have seen the t-shirts. We have more t-shirts if anyone's interested with this logo on it. Congratulations to Benita. She's a grade 10 student from Livermore High School. And our runners-up, we had top design for K2, Ashut Rajasvin in grade 1 from Rancho, and Aidan Lee, grade 5 student at Smith Elementary in grades 3 through 5. We also had Addison Lewis, grade 6 student from East Avenue, which was for a top design grade 6 through 8. And then in the top design 9 through 12th grades, we had Vedika Chudhara, grade 9 student from Granada High. A well-deserved round of applause for students. It is my pleasure and my team's pleasure to host the annual 23rd Science Odyssey, and we are looking forward to next year and our students' amazing projects. If you've not been up here yet, please come on up to the front so we can all see our students.
We'll get you guys all to kind of
Okay.
gather in the middle, so we'll get a nice picture of you. Kind of gather
Well done,
back.
students. Afterwards, you will get a certificate and a photograph in the lobby. Congratulations.
We can get one right here. We can get Connor in there. We're gonna get a picture. Chris, we'll get a picture. All right.
All right, everybody, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Come on around, let's give you a chance. Good job, buddy. Nice job.
Hey, nice job, buddy.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Did you have fun? Pretty fun. Nice job.
Good hand.
Good job, buddy. Oh, we got it back. We're good.
Okay, it's all right.
Good job. Good job. Congrats, that was a nice job. You guys did a great project.
You guys learned
Really
so
nice job.
many. Good
job.
job.
Good job.
Nice work.
Good job. Hey, great project. Really good job. I liked yours.
Yeah, nice job.
I'll give you, there you
Oh,
go.
what's turn?
Good job.
Yes.
Congrats. Nice job. You get best dressed as well.
Yeah, congratulations. So nice.
That is a great event. Thank you, Mr. Connor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was really nice. And as folks are dispersing and going out and taking another picture, there might be some folks in the lobby that haven't made their way in yet. We have plenty of open seating in here now. All right, we're going to move into section 6, and this is our student board member reports. This is the opportunity for the elected representatives at each of our comprehensive high schools to come in, let us know what's going on in several regards at both Livermore and Granada High School. So this evening, we're going to start with Mackenzie Wary at Livermore High.
Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet, and community. After a wonderful week off for spring break, LHS is looking forward to making the last 2 months of this school year very busy. This past Saturday, our 6-man basketball team game was held at Granada High School, at 6 p.m. Our Cowboys took home the victory with a score of 39-36. The students who participated said they really enjoyed playing the game and that the crowd was jam-packed and cheering. Our junior prom dance is this Saturday, April 22nd, and our juniors are ready to get dressed up and travel to the Corinthian Grand Ballroom in San Jose for their special night. Livermore High School's band and chamber orchestra had a concert at Carnegie Hall in New York City over the break. They gave a beautiful performance and were able to explore all of New York City during their stay. LHS is very proud of these amazing students. Our LHS leadership is excited to make a warm welcome to the next year's incoming class officers and ASB representatives. And I would like to announce that Katherine Johnson will be taking over for me next year as ASB Attorney General. As Earth Day approaches, LHS's Green Engineering Academy, or GEA, is hosting its own Earth Day festivities on April 28th. This educates students, and they are allowed to participate and celebrate on how amazing our Earth is with games and other festivities. Our LHS FFA program, or Future Farmers of America, is hosting Agricultural Day for all LVJUSD third grade students. This was held today at our school, and this was an event I remember attending, so I'm sure it'll have a similar impact on these young students. During this upcoming week, LHS will participate in the National Pennies for Patients fundraiser, which benefits the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in support of research to find a cure for blood cancer. But this week, I encourage you to come to our final girls powder puff game on Thursday on the LHS football field. This is the final game because the new girls flag football season will be taking over the powder puff program next year. LHS's favorite spirit week, Greek week, is happening April 24th through the 28th. During this week-long rally, each class will form teams and take on obstacle courses, running races and break games to win spirit points for their grade level. These rallies are accompanied by dress-up days and lots of spirit prizes. Thank you, and remember, today is a great day to be a cowboy.
Nice job. Thank you very much. And now Loudon Philbrick from Granada High School.
Good evening, Board President Bueno. Is it on?
You're good.
Is it?
Yep.
It seems kind of quiet. Sorry about that. Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet and community. As May inches closer, students are preparing for their AP and IB exams as well as their midterms. The Special Olympics are being held at Granada this Thursday as well as next Thursday, and the games will start at 9 a.m. and end at 12 p.m. on both those days. Junior prom is this Saturday in Saratoga, and senior ball tickets are on sale now. This last Saturday was a 6-man charity game between Livermore High and Granada. All the money that we raised was donated to the Special Olympics. Granada's Got Talent will take place next Friday during school, and we have a total of 9 acts performing. That'll be in the big gym. Spring sports are nearing the end of the regular season and are starting to prepare for the playoffs. Baseball and softball are both some of the top teams in North Coast section, and boys volleyball and girls lacrosse are having successful seasons. Track and field will have their league championships coming up, and we had several athletes sign national letters of intent to continue playing at the collegiate level next year in 5 different sports, and that was today at lunch. The Livermore Granada Boosters finalists were announced, and there are several Granada athletes that will attend the May 15th banquet at Livermore High. We're wishing luck towards all those taking the test in the coming weeks, and remember to stay classy, Granada. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if, just in case we might have missed it, there was something about Carnegie Hall. It's a big deal. That's a big hand for Livermore High School. That's a big deal. Go Carnegie Hall. All righty, next we're going to move into section 7. This is our employee groups. And we have elected members that come and represent their respective groups. And I believe LEA is here. Okay, I can see you. And so Amy Thompson is the president, and she's going to come up. And we have, or Stephanie Wagner's come up with CSEA as well. What's that? Oh, everyone's coming. Okay. Well, I didn't know if you guys are coming up all together, like jointly, or okay. Good. All right. Kirsty Governor, Stephanie Wagner, and Amy Thompson.
Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and Cabinet. I am Stephanie Wagner, President of CSEA, and with me tonight are Kirsty Governor, President of SEIU, and Amy Thompson, President of LEA. February 17th, we sent our board a joint letter expressing an interest in having a common standardized comparison process for compensation. We believe having a common standardized process will benefit our district in a few ways. First, it will establish a baseline for comparison. In addition, it will make the process of identifying districts and data more efficient and equitable. More importantly, having a standardized process will make compensation comparisons a team effort unifying all employees in our district. It will allow for setting a common goal in competition for top talent with all who work in Livermore, from food service and custodial, paraprofessionals and administrative assistants, teachers and psychologists, principals, and even the superintendent having a stake in sharing a common goal. We are not sure how to start in implementing a district-wide standardized process. We are hoping for help from the district leadership and support from our school board. We look forward to hearing from you soon as to how we can start working to get this implemented. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And then also we have Lily Lopez, who with our CM and C's, she's their rep. She's not here tonight. Moving into section 8, communication from the public. Communication from the public is a time for the public to comment either in writing or verbally on any item that is not on the agenda. Now, we, the board, may listen to the comment and we may ask staff clarifying questions following it, but we can neither discuss nor take action at this meeting on topics that are not on the agenda, and this is in accordance with the Brown Act. So if you'd like to address a comment that is not on this evening's agenda, now would be the time to do so. We ask that people come up and it's speak once. There's a 3-minute time, and usually it pops up like that, and it'll tell you when you get down to about 30 seconds. And if folks in the audience, if we agree, please try to refrain from clapping during, or if you disagree, the opposite, just so we can capture it, because we've got the microphone, and we want to hear it, and the public that's listening wants to hear it. So we just want to be polite. I want to make sure, and if I don't hear you, I might ask you to move the microphone a little closer, and we'll probably remind you when you get to about 20 seconds, just so we can wrap up and that we can hear everyone. We have quite a few speakers tonight, and so I'd like to call up Hayden Sidhu. What's that? Sidden, I'm sorry, Sidden. Yeah, nope. Hit the button, please.
We good? Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Hayden Sidden, and I live near Joe Mitchell School. Last week, I received a letter from Joe Mitchell notifying me that on Friday, April 14th, 4 days ago, Joe Mitchell's 8th graders would be participating in a Civil War reenactment that included an Air Force colonel demonstrating the use of a musket on school grounds. The letter said the police department was notified and just wanted to warn neighbors that someone would be shooting a gun in the neighborhood. Now, you might remember that I ran for the school board last year. I ran because I experienced multiple things as an LVJUSD student that I just didn't agree with. And now, 5 months after 3 of you won that election, I get a letter from the principal saying a gun would be shot multiple times at the school behind my house. Now, we live in a time where our country is plagued by mass shootings, particularly at schools. In fact, gun violence is now the leading cause of death among American children, more than drugs, more than suicide, more than car accidents, more than cancer. I remember sitting through very real conversations in your classrooms about Parkland, Uvalde, Oxford High, Michigan State, Santa Fe, the list goes on. And I remember feeling scared that I might be next. So I don't know why anyone thought it'd be a good idea to allow someone to bring a gun to a public school and shoot it in front of students. Who approved that? You know, who saw that plan and said, yes, this is a good idea, let's do it? Because allowing someone to bring a weapon of any kind to school is one thing, but then to let them load it and shoot it in front of students, and what kind of message does that send to the students, who, by the way, audibly cheered when the gun went off? I could hear it from my house. I think it tells them it's okay to bring a gun to school and use it. And I can't express with words how frustrating that is. And I must say, the level of incompetence here is just mind-blowing. Why is it that you think it's a good idea to allow someone to shoot a gun in front of 100 of your students? Does that make sense to you? Does that sound safe to you? You know, it reminds me of a candidate forum I participated in where Trustee Bueno scolded me for suggesting a school shooting might happen here in Livermore if we don't do more to protect our schools. Is this your idea of protecting our schools? Let me ask you, why are you okay with someone shooting a gun in front of your students at one of your schools? Because if that's your idea of public safety, then you're putting the entire community in danger. And I just want to tell you, my dad didn't know about the reenactment. He's here today. I have a sister who goes to Joe Mitchell, and my mom went to go pick her up during the reenactment. Can you imagine what went through his mind when he heard gunshots at the school behind our house? Can you imagine what that feels like to think your wife and child could be caught in a school shooting? Can you imagine the panic he felt when he called my mom to make sure everyone was okay? I mean, it's just wrong, right? It's messed up, and your actions, your negligence put him through that. So I'm disappointed, I'm angry, I'm especially angry that my tax dollars were used to fund this, and I don't know what else to say, except that I beg you to just stop being so blatantly stupid. Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Belinda Ballinger.
Good evening. Good evening, President and board members. Actually, my name is Belinda Ballinger, and I am a retired master teacher and classroom teacher. And as such, I have taught educational philosophy and methodology all across the country to both administrators and teachers. And I am proud to say that I am a product and graduate of Livermore High School at a much earlier time. But it was a time when Livermore Unified School District was considered one of the best in the entire state. And I know we all want to strive for that particular status. And I appreciate the fact that our scores, our standards, are higher than the state average. But I am greatly concerned that we may be emphasizing social issues and social behavior over the academics. And as a concerned citizen and teacher, that is very, very troublesome to me. That the social would be most important. And if you don't mind, a little bit of an example, tiny example in the history, our history of the nation, actually. Helen Keller. You know the story, I'm sure. How she was not socialized and her family was very disturbed when she would paw the plates and the food around the table. She couldn't hear, she couldn't see. They wanted to satisfy her social behavior. So they hired, as you know, Anne Sullivan, who gave her a structure and discipline. And the parents were fine with that at the time. Except Anne continued to strive to the point that Helen learned words. And once she learned words and language and how to write, she went on to be a substantial influence in the nation and in the world. If we intend our young people to be an influence within the nation, within their families, within the world, I fear that we are deviating from the academics that actually will set them free to achieve. So I'm asking, please, as a former teacher, actually, they say you can take the teacher out of the classroom, but you can't take the class out of the teacher. I rather believe that. but please don't overemphasize the social issues to our children. Emphasize the academics. That's what brings true freedom. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lainey Pascal. Good evening.
Good evening, board members, staff, students, parents, and those who are listening at home on Zoom. My name is Lainey Pascal, and I'm the parent of 5th grade student in the district. And I've been watching these board meetings on Zoom ever since 2020. And I felt compelled to come in person today after watching the last few board meetings. I am just dismayed and at a loss because of the homophobia and transphobia that I'm hearing from during this public comment section. And I just could not sit at home any longer and listen to it. Parents and community members have been coming to these meetings to essentially ask the district to limit or erase information about the LGBTQ community. They're saying, and I think I heard this at the last board meeting, something to the effect of, this information is just too burdensome for young minds. Little kids can't possibly understand what it means to be trans or non-binary or queer, so it just shouldn't be discussed. If parents object to their students learning that queer and trans people exist, then they have an option, and that option is to homeschool and to present their own views at home. Teaching our children how to be respectful to people who are different from themselves is an important life skill. There are queer and trans people in every single school in our district. Their experiences are valid and their voices are important. So I'd like to encourage the board and the administration to continue on the path of supporting and affirming our LGBTQ students and their families. There is clearly still a lot of work to be done. I'd also like to take a moment and just speak directly to LGBTQ families and students who are listening to me today. Please know that your existence is not a burden. The knowledge that you are who you are is not too heavy to carry in our hearts and our minds. Please don't allow these voices to silence yours.
20 seconds.
You have a whole community of us who are here for you. We accept you and we will support you in any way that we can. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Our next speaker is James Grippy.
Good evening. To all those in attendance and watching online, we are fighting a custody battle right now over our children with the state. We must understand that this is all intentional and by design to remove mothers and fathers as the head of their homes so that the government and this Department of Education could raise your children and indoctrinate them. The only way to stop this is to fight it head on. I believe it is no secret that many parents have a problem with secrecy and involving children into adult conversations, things that are happening in our very district. What has happened to my son is no different. Recently, a teacher at Joe Mitchell, Miss Foos, thought it was okay to pull my child aside to talk to him about me, his father. This is a problem for many reasons. Why would a teacher think it would be okay to talk to my children privately about their father? Why would a teacher think it's okay to involve a child in an adult conversation? This has to stop. We have to let our children continue to be children without involving them in adult problems. I care about my children. I care about all your children. And I know sometimes my emotions get the best of me, but it's only because I want to protect the children at all costs. What has happened is a violation of my son's innocence. He is now feeling extremely uncomfortable attending school or even being in this teacher's class because he was intimidated and bullied by an adult in a place where he's supposed to feel safe. It is becoming overwhelmingly apparent my child is being targeted because his father does not align with the sheep and their agendas being pushed in this district. I have spoken about the Your Gender is Your Choice poster. I have spoken to district employees about a teacher at Joe Mitchell, Miss Hayes, showing a cartoon of 2 men and 2 women kissing. And also Miss Foos that intimidated my son, who is increasingly saying and doing racist things in class, which other parents have brought to the attentions of the principals and the board. What happens to these teachers when we tell you these things? It seems as if no one is listening and they continue to get away with these actions. As of now, you all know I have filed multiple public records requests for any and all communication involving my name or my children. I hope you all will now listen.
Our next speaker is Aaron Haycraft. Good evening.
I had a whole bunch of stuff to bring up here. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Good evening, Superintendent Van Scheck, President Bueno, esteemed school board members. My name is Aaron Haycraft. I am a 30-year-old gay male who lives in Livermore. I lived here for about 2 years now. I grew up in Merced, which is about 90 minutes southeast of here, in the more conservative Central Valley. I was inspired to come and speak after hearing what was said at the March 21st board meeting. Some things were stated that I would like to clear up. Someone stated that we don't need to separate and have a special group that's LGBTQ. You left out bestiality and pedophilia and asked if they had special rights. I'm not sure where he got his info, but I did not get that lesson in gay school. The LGBTQ plus community does not support either of those ideologies, period, full stop. Someone stated that as fact there are 2 genders. This is not true. I highly encourage anyone curious to visit genderspectrum.org, which discusses how gender is in fact a spectrum. I am part of a local chapter of PFLAG, which is a national nonprofit organization that helps those who might need support or have questions about the LGBTQ plus community. I guarantee that anyone who attends will gain knowledge and facts, which would be better than any social media news website or news channel. Our group has LGBTQ plus members, parents of LGBTQ plus children, and people of multiple faiths. I have cards right here if anybody's interested. I can pass them out later. Many people talked about how kids are being groomed by the LGBTQ plus community. That is simply not true. We do not groom children, period, full stop. We do not brainwash them, period, full stop. Kids should be encouraged to express themselves how they want to. Another statement offered multiple times last meeting was, let kids be kids. And you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. Let kids be given the room and space to explore their gender identity. Let kids be given the room and the space to explore their sexual orientation. I did not get that chance because I did not know how to express how I felt. I was so scared at how my family would react that I didn't come out at 22, about 8 years ago now. The LGBTQ plus youth today should be applauded for having the bravery that I did not have. All parents listening, I'd encourage you to do what my parents did. They let my sister and I find our own way, and we went to them with questions and got answers when we needed them. They protected us from the super dangerous, of course, and LGBTQ plus people were nowhere near. The leading cause of death for children in this country is auto accidents and firearms. I'm surprised no one here is inquiring about how the district is keeping your kids safe from guns. To everybody on the board, I'm sorry that you must listen to the hateful lies and rhetoric. I'd also like to make a request of those who speak here in the future. Please do not make comments or statements about a community if you don't know anything about it or don't understand it. These comments only divide, not unite. Remember, love always wins. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alexandria Yazares.
Good evening, board. Recently, our board meetings have been flooded with hate and misinformation. I had decided a few weeks ago I would not speak at this meeting. I wanted to try to make real change in our district with the help of the superintendent, but when my emails went ignored, I felt I needed to speak. Community members and teachers are weaponizing our board meetings and our schools against parents. We have repeated very kindly for kids to be kids, age-appropriate curriculum and material, and for no secrets in this district. The narrative of parents being homophobic, transphobic, hateful bigots is simply getting old. Since the very community members saying such hateful things are spreading misinformation, I'm here to give you some real facts, so children can stop being told they can change their gender whenever they feel. There is no data to support the claim that puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or gender-affirming surgeries are life-saving. In California from 2012 through 2018, suicide attempt rates were twice as high after vaginoplasty or phalloplasty. The statistic of 41% of all trans youth attempting suicide is misinformation. That survey is based on the study of 6,456 transgender and gender nonconforming respondents 18 and older. Participants were recruited through transgender advocacy organizations, yielding a large sample that was highly skewed toward political activism. The survey asked only one question: have you attempted suicide? Authors admit that such a broad question can inflate affirmative responses twofold. The survey did not ask if the suicide attempts were pre-social transition, while waiting for interventions, or post-medical interventions. Studies also show that 80 to 88% of prepubescent children who believe they should be the opposite sex but do not socially transition, like change their name, pronoun, and outward appearance, would grow up to be comfortable with their unaltered natal bodies, and a large portion of them being same-sex attracted. A child's brain is not fully formed until they are 25 years old. Our children are being encouraged to make these very permanent, life-altering decisions, usually without the guidance of a parent. Please watch the documentary Detransition Diaries, Save Our Sisters for more information. Recently, Bill AB 1314 was shot down in our state before even being heard. This bill would have required school districts to notify parents in writing within 3 days after learning a student is identifying as a gender that doesn't align with official records or their birth certificate. I am respectfully asking the board to adopt this language and vote into board policy. I understand decisions may not be made right away, but I am asking that this policy be taken to the correct people and voted on, not only for parents in our district, but also for the protection of our children. What is being allowed is harmful and neglectful. How will you protect our children? I have been asked why I care about something that doesn't affect my children. Why do you feel the need to protect them? They're not your children. Why do you feel like you need to protect children that are not your own? The answer is simple: because no one else will.
Our next speaker is Matt Sidden.
Good evening.
Evening.
Oh, there we go.
It's on.
I'd like to discuss the fact that a musket was fired on school grounds. California's Gun-Free Zone Act, Penal Code subsection 626.9, defines a firearm as any device designed to be used as a weapon from which it is expelled through a barrel of a projectile by force of an explosion. For the purpose of the bill, it doesn't matter if the firearm is loaded or not. The exceptions to this rule are a firearm locked in a car, guards for banks, peace officers, or security guards. By allowing this demonstration, these laws were violated. These laws were put into place to protect our children. A student's safety should always be of the utmost importance. By violating the state's Gun-Free Zone Act, our students' safety relied on luck, not good decisions. I offer you two scenarios. Scenario one, someone in the area heard the shot and didn't know about the demonstration. That person then takes it upon themselves to be a good guy with a gun. They arm themselves, enter campus, and see a person with a musket. What happens next? In that moment, are our children safe or in danger? Scenario two, all the young children who have been going through active shooter drills are told not to worry about it that day. Maybe they see a weapon, they definitely hear a shot. What happens if there's a real threat on campus? Do they lock it down or think it's just another demonstration? Did you create confusion in their minds? While I love the idea of historically accurate demonstrations for our students, they should always be held off campus if weapons are involved. America is facing a crisis, and there's no excuse for allowing this on our campus. Thank you.
Thank you. A follow-up question, Mr. Benchak, is I've been on the board for my 9th year. I'm unaware of any reenactments of this nature in the past. If it's something new, perhaps we can look into this and maybe get back to the board and let us know what's happened here.
Will do.
Okay.
I just want to say 1 second. I'm sorry if my time's up, but yeah, just anytime off camera. I love this.
We'll look into it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Our next speaker is Nicole Pilkington. Good evening. It's on.
I am simply here tonight to ask that the board, respectfully, that the board consider adopting the language for AB 1314, as well as ask that this matter be on the agenda for the next board meeting. Thank you.
Next is Dee Dee Arenas. Arenas. It's on.
Oh, hi, good evening. It is Arenas. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a new person to the Livermore School District with beautiful grandchildren that are now attending. I have the possibility of 8 grandchildren attending this school district. I was very involved with my children in Southern California while they were in school as a teacher and as a parent and as an advocate. And I had to speak to the district and the superintendent, and beyond that, as the district and the superintendent, and then beyond that, the city, who refused to help defend a child of mine who was being protected by the district, the superintendent, and the city for inappropriate behavior. So I'm just concerned of what I'm seeing now occurring in the school district with inappropriate behavior by teachers, by staff members, not just behavior, but language, film, videos, and books, and literature. I just say, all of us, most of us here are from an era where none of that existed, and none of that was appropriate or accepted. Why is it now? And I think because now we're not just dealing with the district, the superintendent, the city. Now we have the state controlling what you're deciding to do and allow, and it's not acceptable. So as I saw righteousness prevail when I was defending my child, I believe righteousness will prevail again, especially the truth. And there is a truth to what everyone is trying to say is not true, as in what is trying to be brought to our agenda, which is very incorrect. And I just want you to reflect on a Matthew book that says, but whoever is the reason for one of these little children who believe in me to fall into sin, it would be better for him to have a large rock put around his neck and be thrown into the sea. It is bad for the world because of that which makes people sin. Men will be tempted to sin, but it is bad for the one who is the reason for someone to sin. Do not hurt our children or allow them to be hurt, please, because I will protect my children and all the children who are loved and created by God. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dina Kaplanis. Good evening. It's there you go. Nope. One more time. Perfect.
Good?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Sorry I haven't been around. I've been having to watch from a distance. I just had to get back to life and my family, but I've been listening to the past few board meetings, and I just wanted to speak about something. So officially, I want to say good evening to our superintendent, to our members of the board, cabinet, students, and community. My name is Dina, and I do not identify as the mob, as a Bible thumper, as an extremist, a homophobic, or an anti-LGBTQ person, or any of these names the people in this room come up with to justify themselves. In fact, on the contrary, I was taught to love and respect everyone despite our differences. I'm here tonight because I've been watching the past few board meetings, as I said, and it's obvious we are so divided on some very controversial issues. And I'd like to address something that is very concerning to me: trust in our district. With some policy and potential bills on the table that would strip a parent or a legal guardian of their rights to their own children, I would like to know that we can trust that our superintendent, board president, trustees, teachers, and staff are willing to work with us when it comes to the decisions of our students. After all, we are trusting them in your care for 6 to 8 hours a day. And if it's true that you want the best for them and we want the best for them, why couldn't we come together on these issues? All I'm asking tonight is that the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District would please adopt the language of AB 1314, that the schools would have to notify us with anything they do with our child. We have the power of our children, not the school system, and what we're asking is not illegal. Whoever believes that, it's completely false. You have to notify us of our parental rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brianna Lopez.
Hi, Board. Oh, sorry. Good evening. I just wanted to request that the Board adopt the verbiage of AB 1314 policy, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Audrey Gibson. Oh, she left? Okay. We'll go past that. Bonnie Berg, or Berg E.
Good evening. I too respectfully request the school board adopt the language of AB 1314 into board policy and add to the next meeting's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ryan Lawson.
Good evening, board members and citizens of Livermore. I as well respectfully request the school board adopt the language of AB 1314 into board policy and add to the next meeting's agenda. And I'm just speaking on behalf of the parents who just simply want to raise their children without having the threat of their rights being taken away. You know, secrets aren't okay, and I think that's a fair and a logical request. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Deborah Gibson. Good evening. One more time, hit it, please. There you go. We're good.
So don't push it when you get here.
Depends on the status it was left, that's all.
Got it. Good evening. I would also like to ask the school board to adopt the language of AB 1314 into board policy and to add it to the next meeting's agenda, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Liz Watson.
Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the Cabinet, Superintendent Van Schack, and members of the community. My name is Liz Watson, and I've been a teacher at Granada High School for 13 years. I wanted to speak tonight to make one thing clear to our community, and especially our students who are feeling out of place. Everyone is welcome here. Our teachers will fight for you and stand up for you when you need support. We will fight for your right to love who you love just as hard as we will fight for your right to read the Bible or have faith in any higher power. We will fight for your right to read books and use the bathroom at school, no matter how you present. Our classrooms are not places of judgment or hate. They are places of kindness and forgiveness. I have so much faith in our students based on all of the good that I see in my classes every day. You all are raising some incredible humans. And I wish that you could see what I see on a daily basis, and that the majority of them would make good choices given the opportunity. Look for the good, and that's what you will see. To the lost students out there struggling, know that the hate can seem loud. However, our compassion is louder, and you matter. Our district, our classrooms, and our teachers are here for you. I want to say this one more time so it's clear. Everyone is welcome here. I hope that our district continues to work together with our teachers, our staff, and our students to find a way forward where we can support our students and foster a secure sense of belonging for everyone in our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening. Okay, that concludes our audience communication. Any clarifying questions? Okay, we're going to close the public comment, and we're going to move into board correspondence. Formal written correspondence to the Board of Education shall be acknowledged if received by the board or in the superintendent's office by 4 p.m. the day before our normal meetings. Formal written correspondence received after the cutoff time will generally be acknowledged at the following meeting. Please note that board electronic communication received via the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District website by accessing the formal written correspondence to the Board of Education link with all fields completed and verified, that will be treated as formal written correspondence. So with that, I'd ask our clerk, Ms. Prusso, if there is any, and if you could summarize, please.
There is. We have a correspondence from Kendall Lawson, a parent, commented in regards to what she believes to be woke curriculum having no place in schools. Lisa Segren, parent, commented asking our board to adopt the language of AB 1314 into board policy. And Fabian Moreno, a parent, commented asking our board to adopt the language of AB 1314 into board policy. And that concludes the correspondence summary before the deadline.
Thank you. And, I'd ask our superintendent, given some of the questions in the public correspondence, if there's any objections, let me know. Perhaps you could put together something that would kind of apprise us on AB 1314. But just my cursory review looks like it would be a change, just on under information, maybe, you know, at the,
Sure.
on the update or something.
Sure.
Just, yeah, it appears that it's a change to current law or something, and it's
It was a bill that was recently killed in the
committee or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, moving into our discussion items. We're going to move up some items.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move up items 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3. With your approval, I'd like to invite Mr. Jason Kurlikowski forward. He's our Director of Secondary Education, and he's going to present some new courses to the board for their approval. And I know he's got some folks with him to answer questions and provide some support for those courses.
Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and members of Cabinet. I'm here tonight to present 2 new courses for board approval. Our first course pretty much speaks for itself. It's going to be an introductory course into recreation and event management. It'll be an introductory level course for hospitality, tourism, and recreation pathway for our CTE programs. We will offer mock events and hands-on opportunities for our students to plan, participate, clean, et cetera, all the areas and aspects of event management and planning. So with that, and obviously you can see some of the highlights up on the monitor, but we would like the superintendent's recommendation is to approve this new course, Recreation and Event Management, AB.
Okay. Any questions? Trustee Drone?
So who will teach this? Is it housed under a discipline or in a department or?
It will be both in our CTE and elective program, and the teacher is Ms. Sofia Rodriguez. She's in the back here.
Awesome.
Or she was. Okay, all right.
All the way in the back.
And is there, I don't know if you can comment, is there a goal to have theory into practice as far as collaborating with leadership, or is this just theory, or I don't know if she can
It's
answer that.
more than
I'm
theory.
hoping
It's,
the
it's meant to be applicable, hands-on opportunities. When you say, will they partner with leadership, do you mean the student class leadership or the leadership of the school or both?
All of it. I mean,
I would
to
imagine
try-
they're going to collaborate with everyone they can. That's part of a program like this and why it's so beneficial. It can spread beyond just a course. It can go
Fantastic.
school-wide.
Trustee
I
Pruso?
just want to comment, I think I like seeing courses like this that kind of focus on career. Yeah, I'm excited, just really practical career sort of options. And just, I think with all of our career tech courses, I think it's really good for students to get an opportunity to experience it. And they may decide they don't like it, and they may decide that they love it. And that might help them when they're making their decisions. So I am excited to see courses like this. I hope that it fills up. I think it's great.
Very much. Trustee Wong?
Can you explain a little bit? Is this like a ROP hands-on type of course, or is it like a textbook classrooms?
It will be a career technical education course within Livermore Unified. I'm sure we'll be partnering with ROP in some way around letting outside students come in as well. But yes, it's absolutely in the same mold as which we'll be presenting on later tonight, the ROP program and our CTE programs.
Okay, so it's not like they're sitting in a classroom reading about recreation management?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? This is an action item. I entertain a motion on this.
You want it?
I'm not sure how to do this.
Just
I
say I
move
move.
to adopt Recreation and Event Management AB.
And I'll second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Drowan in support of the superintendent's recommendation, and it's been seconded by Trustee Pruso. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Right on to your next one.
Thank you. Our next new course is Guitar 1-2. Once again, the course is very particular to what the course will be. This is due to a strong student demand at one of our high schools. It's connected to Mr. Pasco could offer almost anything and he'd get a course load of students to sign up. So this is something that they've wanted. As you can tell from the course description and what's up on the screen, they will be learning all the basics. They will be working anywhere from music theory to learning how to play with individuals and in small groups.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
So I'm hoping that similar to other music programming, if students don't have a guitar, that there'll be opportunities for them to get a loaner or something along those lines.
Absolutely, fair question. And yes, we're always going to provide every student what they need for any
Secondly,
course.
Will bassists be allowed to? I'm just kidding.
No.
No comment?
That's it.
All right.
I move that we approve the new courses Guitar 1 and 2.
I'll enthusiastically second that.
All right. So we have a motion by Trustee Pruso in support of the superintendent's recommendation on this item. It's been seconded by Trustee Drone. Any discussion on the motion?
Recommendation is to approve.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we will circle back around now and get back to
10-3, though?
No, we'll get 10-3
I thought I
after
heard
we get to
10-3,
the
that's
nines, because it is disconnected. It's
Got it.
our school safety plans.
Okay.
I misspoke before when I added
it.
that in.
Okay.
It was just the course descriptions that I wanted to get to. We will get to the Lawrence Elementary School report, and I will invite Christy Starkovich to once again come forward. I know she's got some really exciting things to tell us about what's happening at Lawrence.
Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, cabinet and community members. Again, I am Christy Starkovich, the principal of Lawrence Elementary, and I am very excited tonight to share with you information about our campus. Okay. I know you have this presentation in front of you, so I'll be highlighting some of it, but not all of it. But I think the most important thing that I'd like to recognize tonight about Lawrence Elementary is that we are the school on Portola Avenue. I can't tell you how many people don't understand that that is part of the LVJUSD school system, and they drive by it every day. So Lawrence Elementary has been open for 6 years. It's the school you drive by on Portola Avenue, and we have 420 students. Our ethnicities there are listed with 41% white, 34% Asian, and 21% Hispanic. And then I'll just let you read the rest and get into the other stuff. Okay. Lawrence Elementary is on its 5th year as a Leader in Me school, so we identify as a leadership-focused school, and we are excited with the growth that we are making in that, and I'll explain more of that later. On this, these are some of the important highlights of our school. I'd like to talk a little bit about our student-led parent conferences. In October, when we had the parent conference days, which were 2 weeks in the fall, every student in kindergarten through 5th grade led a conference. Parents were invited by their child to come to a conference. They have a leadership notebook with 5 sections of areas. I won't go into each one, but essentially it is how they're tracking their progress all year. And at the beginning of the year, they find out from their teacher, I mean, we're talking little kindergartners, where they need to be by the end of the year, so they know what letter sounds they need. And so they took out their leadership notebooks and shared with their parents what their learning objective was for the year and where they were headed throughout the year. And we will continue to find a way to make this happen. It was very well received by our parent community and our teachers. Here's just a few fun pictures because it's always nice to see little kids in action. The bottom left, you can see that is a kindergarten student. The teacher is on the left and the parent's on the right. And he has his leadership notebook and he's explaining the letter sounds that he knew. They used a little dauber and where he was at in relationship to where he needed to be by the end of trimester 1. Of course, we have our Spirit Days and we just hosted the Missoula play. Thank you, LHS, for allowing us to use your theater. I can't imagine having another elementary play not at LHS. It was so lovely. Here's our school success data, and we do have some celebrations this evening. 73% of our students were proficient or met standard on the ELA CASP in 2022. And 74% of our students in grades 3 through 5 were proficient in math. And you'll notice that both of those were increases from the previous year. We went up 4% in ELA and 2% in math. And our planned actions, obviously that's a starting point. We know we can always grow, and so we've been working very hard this year. One of the main focus is our grade levels. We're working together in professional learning communities, looking at data, and I'll explain more about data as we move on, and really planning those intense, we call it win time at Lawrence Elementary, what I need time sessions, and the progress that the students are making is remarkable, and there's a lot of pride in the teachers when they're looking at the data at the end of their rounds of professional learning communities. So, and then down below, if you look, we had 81% of our students reported a positive, 81% reported a positive connection at Lawrence Elementary. And I invite anyone that hasn't been on the campus to come to Lawrence, and I think that'll just explain it all. It definitely has a feel for it. A lot of it has to do with the work that we've been doing and building our relationships, growing our campus. To highlight a couple of the ways that I believe, I haven't interviewed students, but a couple of the reasons why I think students feel connected is, as I spoke earlier about the Lighthouse team, we have many opportunities for students to have leadership jobs on our campus.
We recognize students, and I won't go into them all because we'd be here, although it is nice to hear about. We recognize students in multiple ways. So every morning, our fifth graders do the morning announcements, and there's an opportunity for praise notes to be read aloud. We started a goal for our staff members to complete every staff member to complete one praise note a week. So they are recognizing students and staff for holding a door open, for trying hard during reading, for letting a staff member borrow materials. So students are hearing that every day. We also have what's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Shout outs. We just started shout outs. Shout outs they're on the counter in our office, they're in the classrooms. Anyone that's on campus, if you came on campus, our parents, our students are doing what's called a shout out, and there's a little section on the side that kind of gives them a sentence stem to start, and they'll write who they want to shout out to, and then they come and they're put in my box, and I am dedicated to going into the classrooms, and they see me and they go, it's shout out time, and I literally call this student forward. I read one today to a kindergarten student from his mom for learning his sight words. I read one to a third grade student from a parent volunteer who chaperoned a field trip for his demonstrating respect. And I read one to a fourth grade student for being there, to a friend for him being there through his tough times when he's experienced tough times at home. So we're really building that capacity of not just staff recognizing students, but students recognizing students and having that student voice. And then one special thing that I do as a principal that I started during the pandemic and I will continue until I'm retired is I send a birthday card to all students on their birthday.
That's cool.
I have the list and it's part of my Friday before I leave or Monday, and I look for that following week of what students' birthdays fall within the week coming up. I write them a personalized card, I address it, and I mail it, and you can only imagine how students feel getting mail because we just get bills, right? So that's something that I think helps our students feel included in. Okay, and our readiness data. I want to focus tonight on EL student progression and the dedication that our staff has to learning new strategies for working with our English language learners. I am very excited to say that we have, and I just asked her today what her title was, a certified agency GLAD trainer on our campus. Mrs. Waffler is one of the 4 teachers in our district that have been GLAD certified, and she does refreshers with our staff, and she just started a new professional training development today. It's 8 days for all LVJ, well, I mean, it's not all because we couldn't fit them all in room 8, but we had 25 members sign up, teachers in our district from other schools, and we housed it at Lawrence, and Mrs. Waffler taught it for the BGLAD training, which is the Guided Language Acquisition and Development. And 30% of our staff members are currently trained in BGLAD. I participated in it over the summer when I was first hired with LVJUSD, and we had 5 of our own staff members today. So we're looking at 60%, 70% of our teachers being trained in BGLAD, which we know will have an impact on that language development. We also talked about how we can use the CDE website to do practice tests for the LPAC test. When I was our DLAC representative, when I was at the meeting, one of the parents expressed how can we prepare our students for the LPAC test, which you know is used to reclassify students. I brought that back to our teachers who are teaching the designated ELD, and they have found that resource very helpful. So we're hoping that that will help our students move forward with the reclassification. And finally, our projects for the year. Service learning was an area of focus, finding our voice. And so we started out the school year with teaching students what service learning was and held a school-wide service learning project for the East Bay Animal Shelter. We recycled bottles, water bottles to raise money to buy the specialized milk for the cats. And then we also collected donations. So each grade level, the students had a voice of what they wanted to do. So we collected like cat toys, and we were able to go deliver those. Our idea is with that Lighthouse team that I introduced before is that they'll start initiating service learning activities, and that we'll continue to have one school-wide one like we did this year, and that each grade level will have one, so that by the time students, if they start in kindergarten and end at Lawrence in 5th grade, they've done 6 grade level service learning projects and 6 school-wide ones, and then whatever else. During my coffee with the principal, I shared a resource for parents of how we can help our Livermore community in doing the service learning projects. We also, and this is kind of one of the things I'm very proud of, is at the beginning of the year, after doing our school site plan, we worked together as a staff and we asked ourselves, what do we want our focus to be? What data do we want to track this year? Of course, we were tracking a lot, as I shared with you in the binders, but we decided as a school we were going to commit in kindergarten through 5th grade to having a math focus. And we applied, and I'll just explain it to you, the process, and then just know that what we did for this process started at the district level. So we have our LCAP goals in math and ELA, and we applied it from the district level to the school site level to the grade level to the classroom level, and I know Trustee Druin was there, so he was able to see this, to the student level. And so basically, how can we help our school district show growth at the student level at Lawrence Elementary, and how to get there? So what it's called the 4DX, which you might be familiar with from Franklin Covey, the 4 disciplines of execution. And we teach students to look at our X, where are we at? And where do we want to be by when? So it's the SMART goal. So kindergartners, even TKers, the other day, they were tracking how they line up, get a starting point. So where are we at now? Where do we want to be by when? Then we teach them about lead measures, and lead measures are strategies that you can use to reach a goal. So let's choose a student that I know very well in 4th grade who was having a difficult time with multiplication. Her baseline was Moby Max, or in reading we would use Easy CBM or Dreambox. So she has her X, she has her Y, she chooses her lead measures. Maybe she's going to do Dreambox as one lead measure, 5 lessons a week, practice the math facts with a family member, and then they choose accountability partners. So they have their starting point, where they want to be by when, they choose their lead measures, they meet with their accountability partners to track on a calendar every day. Did I do one of my lead measures or didn't I? And it's not punitive. It's, as you can imagine, it's giving them, it's that question that they answer on the panoramic survey of, do I have control over my learning? And students are learning, yes, I have control over my learning, and they're seeing the growth. So they're doing goals at their level using that process, and then of course we have the celebrations at the end if they reach their goals. We are starting at it. We had a baseline starting point for math, kindergarten through 5th grade, and we have seen tremendous growth. I can email you guys the slide that I shared at School Site Council from the start of the year, kindergarten, to the end of the year for all grade levels and overall. And we know that that will have an impact on where we're at math-wise for our district. So the students are learning that process. We're applying it, as I said, at the school site level, down to the grade level, tracking grade levels, down to the classroom, down to the student. And it's just very powerful, and it's lovely to see the students making the progress and learning that skill. That's a lifelong skill that they're gonna use as they continue in their RH. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Ready. Thank you. We'll start with Trustee Prusso.
Thank you for coming and presenting for us. I just am very impressed with your data. I do feel like Lawrence is kind of one of our bright spots in the district. And kind of what I love about it is you've seen a lot of success, but you're still looking for ways to continue to succeed. And I think that that's really important. And also, you have such a high percentage of your positive connections, and I think that's evident also in the success of the academics. I think that's great. And then I also just, I've been on your campus and I've seen the way that the students are leading their own education and having control over that, and how that really helps them to want to do better. And I think that's also really wonderful. And I wondered if I could do a shout out.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do a shout out to Millie and Daisy Hatch for being loving sisters.
Okay, I'll write it
They're
up.
my nieces. I do have nieces and nephews at almost every school.
I'll
but
write it
I'll
up.
just
I'll remember. I'll make myself a note, and I will go
Just
in there
FYI.
and shout out, and they'll love it. And you can imagine the expressions on their face. Thank
you.
And for those who haven't seen leadership, the Lighthouse team that was behind, they literally just started like 6 weeks ago. We're in the process of planning a leadership like gallery walk during open house, but we think that during the morning or during the day we can have our school site, our kids go around and see it, but we were also going to invite the board in. They just haven't given me the details yet. Again, it's student driven, so I'll be getting that information out to you because I know it'll be easier to come on campus rather than dealing with all the parents parking at night. So I'll get that to you guys.
Trustee Wong.
Hello. Over here.
Hi.
I love that you have a school-wide focus and that it's math. And I love that you have so many different leadership opportunities. And usually by the time you get to the high school level, it's like 10 kids do all the leadership jobs. Do you find that, a lot of the kids are participating and especially kind of a diversity of kids?
That's a great question. So our leadership jobs there's actually jobs for all grade levels, kindergarten, well, TK, we don't have TK right now, but kindergarten through 5th, and they happen as we find a need or students find a need. And yes, I had one student who was having a hard time in the mornings in 1st grade, and he's now out there doing ballet. And he told me this yesterday, I'll see you tomorrow. So yes, we make sure that's the whole idea behind our leadership jobs, is that everyone has a place and a talent that they can share with us. And so we highly encourage. The Lighthouse team is a whole different, except they had to apply. It's a little bit different, but our other jobs on campus are, you pretty much apply and you interview and you get the job.
That's great. And I give a shout out to you. I mean, the numbers are really impressive, especially the positive connections. That's really excellent. So you're doing something right
Thank
over
you.
there.
I say it takes a team. When I do school tours and people ask how, I said a lot of work, and we're going to continue to do it. So thank you.
I wrote a bunch of things to say. A couple of the words that I wrote were intentional, systematic, and impactful. I also wrote down democratic schools that, in my own practice, I've read about and kind of gushed over democratic schools. And I don't think Lawrence identifies as a democratic school, but one of them that I read about in Oregon, they try to view students as not children, but as people that are going to be adults. And so they want to raise their status and make school not something where you're going to learn to do something later, but how can we scaffold? How can we help you be a leader now? And so I toured it, and you were there, but you weren't talking much because the students were telling me about the school. They were showing me the leadership thing. They have to apply for jobs, that they can do. And when they're done with it, they can be done, and then someone else can apply for the job. It's a really wonderful place. And I think that hearing you talk about all the things that you're doing, I also wrote strong leaders make the impossible possible. And I think that, looking at the package that you're creating, it's like, how do you have time for this? And I know you just said that, you have a team and you're all working together. And I think that is certainly part of it. But I also, I'll amplify that, kudos to you. I did have one question. In attendance rate, you said identify students through COST, C-O-S-T, on, I don't know what slide that is. I don't know what COST is.
COST is our coordination of services team that meets twice a month. And we talk about behavioral components, academics. Today, 2 students came up that are having issues with tardies. And so we have documentations of how we're helping them, but I've also reached out to our CWA after this meeting today saying, let's talk about next steps so that we can make sure students understand what's going on and see how we can support them in being in school.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Trustee Guzman.
Yes, thank you. I do have a question regarding, so an increase in your English language arts and your EL student progression. So there was training about GLAD and everything, and then there's a dedicated person. So my question is, how are students getting their English? Are they grouped? Are they?
Sorry for the confusion.
Yeah.
So the students, they have designated ELD support in the classrooms, the 30 minutes a day that's provided by, I wouldn't say their classroom teacher because as I've mentioned, we work together as a team, and since our numbers are a lot lower, we have a teacher at each grade level that works with the students, so there's consistency, the EL students. So that's different from the acronym that I gave. It's called the CAT, is what she told me today.
Oh, okay.
So the CAT team from Be Glad has been working with Carla and the Be Glad trainers to be certified so that rather than bringing in outside consultants to teach our teacher, to provide professional development for our school district teachers, we have now 4 internal certified teachers who can teach Be Glad to our Livermore community. So they held their first round, they're holding their first round of internal professional development at Lawrence, and it went out to all of the elementary schools to for teachers to attend. And of the 26 participants, 5 of them were Lawrence teachers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that'll just give them the tools in their classroom, but they still get their designated time.
Thank you. No other questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think we have 9-2.
Great reports. We'll move on to 9.2, and I'll invite Mr. Kilkowski to come back. And he's got a guest, I believe, with him today. A couple of guests, actually, which is great. And they're going to discuss college and career readiness.
Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and members of Cabinet. Julie Duncan, the Superintendent of Tri-Valley Regional Occupation Program, and I are here tonight to present and report on our CTE programs, both district-wide and through Tri-Valley ROP. As a region, we work together with our surrounding districts, Pleasanton and Dublin, and Las Positas Community College as the Tri-Valley Educational Collaborative, the TEC, or TEC. The TEC has existed for over 29 years and is considered one of the top collaborative models offering CTE and ROP programs to our students. As you're aware, our district offers students a wide variety of CTE and ROP course options, and our students are able to access these from any of the 3 districts within the collaborative. In recent years, our state has helped place the proper spotlight on the importance of having vibrant career pathways as options to students. To that end, the state added completing a CTE pathway as an additional way that the student can prove that they were college and career ready and met the CCR indicator on the California dashboard. Our goal number 1 in the LCAP is to increase the percentage of students who have the skill and knowledge to graduate from high school, college, and career ready. We've challenged ourselves to push a 5% increase each year until 60% is achieved. We are at 52% right now. And we've also set a goal for ourselves to increase our CTE pathway completion rate to at least 25% by the end of next year. We reached these goals, we funded it through the LCAP through a variety of supports for our schools, including academic and career counseling, middle college, TV ROP partnerships, our Del Val counselor, and our site allocations. As I mentioned before, this is one of the ways to be college and career ready. As you look across this list, you'll see some familiar data points that we as a district certainly strive for all of our students to be college and career ready. You'll see I outlined in red that one of those pathways or one of those options is through career technical education. I think what the importance of this is I want to talk about the distinction between college that used to be talked about college or career ready or vocational education. Thankfully, our educators realize the skills needed to be college ready are also, in fact, the same skills to be career ready. So that we now intertwine the two by striving to have our students college and career ready. College career readiness means completing rigorous coursework, passing challenging exams, or receiving a state seal of biliteracy. You will notice, like I said, some familiar data such as AP exams, A through G completion, SBAC proficiency, and the state seal of biliteracy. One more piece of data is, as I mentioned before in the LCAP, one of the goals is to have a 25% by 23-24 being a CTE pathway completer. And you can see over the past 3 years, we've made some significant gains in that area, which is certainly contributing to our students being college and career ready. And with that, I'm going to let Ms. Duncan from TVROP talk a little bit more about the programs we offer and have one of our students speak.
Thank you so much. Well, good evening, Superintendent Van Schack. Haven't got to say that yet. It's my first meeting. President Bueno, trustees, great to see you all, cabinet. Some of the highlights from the year, I'm excited that we still have incentive grant, and it's part of the state budget, as well as our strong workforce grants. They provided us so many enhancements to our programs and have allowed the districts to actually be refunded for the commitment they've made into CTE programs in a variety of ways. We're really excited the last round. We just were approved. I'm sure that Ms. Fiskus loves all the grants we get. We're constantly crunching numbers together. $3.4 million will be coming to our region at the latest round, and that's money that is reimbursable to the districts. It's straight back. And then round 5, the strong workforce is really geared to looking at pathways. We're gaining another high school in our Tri-Valley. Dublin will have Emerald High School, which is conveniently located off 580. That's what we wrote in the grant. To be able to have areas for our Livermore Pleasant students to come to expand some of the pathways that we have. As we all know, there is a teacher shortage, and education pathway is a big focus in strong workforce. So really partnering, they've got great lab space, so to be able to expand a program there as well. It also concentrates on looking at our ICT sectors and having students, as we did last year, learn how to fix equipment, be part of the school, look, that hands-on trades type of course. So that's what that one was written to. It's approximately $1 million when you spread it out 3 ways, and a lot of professional development for our teachers and release. It's just those things when things are tight, we can go to these grants to allow our teachers to go to conferences, come to meetings that are important, to work on curriculum, and be industry relevant. So we're excited about that. WIOA, last year we had one of the students, I don't know if you remember, Camp Sender. We had Zoe Zanis, who is our pathway liaison, one of the strong workforce grants. She came with our student. She works primarily with Del Val and Vineyard here in Livermore. And the WIOA program is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. A year ago, we were funded at half, so we were just like a semester. We had a group of students. We started small. It's a program on career readiness, so they practice interviewing skills. There's a curriculum that's to it, and students have to opt into wanting to do this. We were really excited. We did so well that they gave us more funding to be able to have at least 28 students. We ended up getting 29 from Del Val Vineyard, and we said, can you take one more? And they were excited and said, yeah, we'll pay for one more student. They received stipends. And what's so exciting, one of the pictures you'll see in the library there up top is they all are now paired with a mentor, and all of the students registered for Las Positas College and did their FAFSA. So, and they're going to graduate in the program. They're getting honor cords. We went through every school's department. It's just awesome that they're going to wear that. We honored at one of the meetings that I was at in another district. I've never seen our Alta kids they were so proud. Like, it was such a great moment. It's not that it's an easy program because kids have to buy into it, but there's real results happening from it. So we're really proud of that. And Del Val has the biggest population, by the way. participating. And then teacher job shadow externship. Mr. Kolonkowski was a big part of this, helping as all the districts were. One of the round 4 grant allowed us to partner with, we actually hired an intermediary. I think a lot of you know her, April Treese. She's Bay Area Leads. She's worked with all the districts and starting up their PLTW programs years ago, worked with Chevron and the businesses. She concentrates mostly in Contra Costa County, but we knew she'd be the perfect fit for this. And sure enough, she became the education lead for the Workforce Development Innovation Tri-Valley Committee, which then put her in position for all the ITV businesses, which is great. And together with the grant we wrote and her contacts, we had a very first teacher job shadow on March 28th. We had 33 teachers participate. They were from 9 to 12. They met with businesses that we recruited from our manufacturing days, working with Livermore and Dublin and Pleasanton chambers, with the cities. And the schools, the actual businesses that we were able to recruit that day for those teachers was flipped to media, which a lot of our Miguel Baez, one of your instructors, is very interested in going to that. We had Zone 7, we had the lab, Thermo Fisher, Lamb, Vintage 99 for our marketing teachers, which they had no idea what they were going to, but we had done that once for manufacturing day. It's all the wine label making that's done here in Livermore. So it was just really fascinating. I got so many emails from that day about how great the experience was, and it was twofold. The employers came back at lunch and they both got up and explained how this day was valuable to them. So the teachers were saying, you know, I know my kids want to be engineers, but I never really realized that you can have an engineering degree, but yet working in the marketing department of Thermo Fisher. And Thermo Fisher said, you know, we don't just want engineers. And if you're thinking about if your students are thinking about staying local, we'd love to hire them and we'll pay for their education. So it was just and that was just one story, but that was just an example of how that day went. The ask at the end of the day was, with this grant, an externship is when a teacher gets paid during the summer to go into the industry they teach in. We have 15 externship slots available for teachers this summer. They'll be paid $2,000 a week. Those teachers that were interested did this job shadow. We then asked those businesses if they would be willing to take on teachers. You know, was right on the spot, but of course April's great at that, so she was kind of like, you know, sign here. And a couple of them volunteered, as well as at our ITV meeting on Monday, we also had some of the chamber folks volunteer as well. So they're paid through this grant. It's an awesome opportunity. We have 2 more summers of this exact program, so I'm assuming it's going to grow just a little bit more. So that was part of the grant. So that was really exciting to see. And then last, something very personal to Livermore, our automotive center over at Livermore High School. I know that Ms. Thedia has had a student involved in this, but our automotive numbers, we have 132 students that signed up for just our auto body and repair. And I always say auto body and collision, and they always say, Julie, could you put the repair part? We actually fixed the car. So I was really, really excited to see those numbers, and I actually don't know what we're going to do with all those numbers. So we're working on it because the lab is only so big, so an OSHA requirement. So we'll make sure we meet all those requirements. Middle college, we welcome you. I hope you will be receiving the invitation soon. I know it's always the Tuesday after the Memorial Day weekend. It's a great ceremony. As of this graduating class, we will have 410 graduates in 2017. The amount of units is astonishing. Amy Brown, who's our coordinator, was looking at that the other day, and I know all the districts went and met with Las Positas separately with Dr. Foster, and he showed all the units being completed. But one of the little asterisks we sort of said was a big chunk of those units are your middle college students, which receive that dual enrollment, which help with that college and career readiness piece. So that is just awesome. One of the stats that I love the most, though, is their LPC GPA is 3.4, and that's higher than most freshmen out of high school's GPA. And as Amy always wants me to say, these students are 2.0 to 4.0. It is not that we pick the kids with the highest GPA. That's not who we did. We very much go with the AVID model. Another huge piece is it's 100% graduation rate. I mean, that's so far in all these years that has stayed true. And 20% of the students we serve are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and 30% are first gen. And that was the goal of this program. It's sometimes very hard to make sure that we stay true to that, only because we need to be able to reach out. And so your district and your partners have really done a great job. And this year, for the very first time, normally when we send out, you've made it, into middle college, you're going to be part of the new class. You don't always get students to come back and go, I changed my mind. I think I want to stay at Granada. I think I want to stay at Livermore. And no one said no. This is the first time ever. So we really do have a waiting list this time around. And I have to applaud Livermore Valley Joint Unified School Districts, because the students that we get from this district, we have more applications than any other district. They value that it's free. They value the cohort, and they're one of our top performing students are from this district. So we're really excited about that. And speaking of a great student, we have Angela, and she's here right now. Mr. Gronkowski is going to leave his seat and give her the seat. But Angelina Guzman is a 12th grader at Livermore High School. And the great thing about her being here tonight is, well, I'm glad, poor thing, she's been in the car. She ran track tonight. She ran the 1600, and she came in third place tonight. So whoop, go her.
Nice.
I know she's probably tired and starving. But we're back. We're back in internships. Last year, through the COVID years, it was really hard to have an ROP class to say we did hands-on. We did a lot of simulations. We were out at COVID clinics. We were helping with outdoor ed, testing kids before they went back and forth. But truly to be back in the hospitals at Stanford and Valley Care, to be in all types of medical settings is amazing. And so tonight, we wanted Angelina just to tell you how much it means to be back actually doing something hands-on in the real world. So I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hi, my name is Angelina Guzman. I attend to Livermore High School, and I'm currently in the Medical Occupations program. I took this class because I wanted to make sure whether veterinary medicine was the right career path for me. I also took this program because I wanted to see if different medical careers would pique my interest and I would later switch to them. But here I am. And I've learned human anatomy, medical terminology, and job networking. I have built resumes for myself and have created career portfolios to help me through college. And yeah, I am interning at the Iron Horse Vet Care Emergency Hospital, and I do vitals, I restock on supplies, I shadow veterinarians, and I assist on procedures if they're comfortable with it. And yeah, today I learned about immunodeficiency in animals. There was a case that came in where it was immunodeficient, and they showed me tests with blood and saline, which is basically salt water, and how it clusters like in saline, whereas normal blood does not cluster. And it is not always happy days at the veterinary hospital, but I've managed these stressful situations and focused on my patient, but most importantly, remained calm. This program is important because it's helped me reassure my decision to practicing veterinary medicine, and I've been accepted to UC Davis, and I'll be working on my undergraduate degree along with prerequisites for vet school. I would like to thank you for offering this program. It has given me invaluable experience and has opened up new opportunities for me to becoming a doctor.
Really nice. Nice job.
Didn't know if you had any questions for Mr. Gronkowski or myself.
Yes. Trustee Guzman.
Thank you. This is amazing, pretty cool, and congratulations on, your work and going into UC Davis. So we happened to walk by. I saw the auto body shop today at Livermore High School, and I was even asking Trustee Drew, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know. My question is, when it's Tri-Valley ROP, this is students from multiple schools coming to the Livermore High School campus for that course? How does that work?
So most of the classes on the Livermore campus are typically Granada and Livermore students, but there are some courses that people travel for, and auto body is one of them because you're the only auto body from here to Eden ROP in Hayward, to be honest. So the program, the Dublin and Pleasanton students come in the afternoon to auto technology, which is, change the oil, your tires. I'm simplifying it, but those are the basics. Auto body and repair is refinishing, and students come period 1 to learn how to do that. So your car got in an accident, they learn how to buff out and paint. We have a spray booth in there and everything. So yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So my brother actually did that in Hayward, and that's his career now. So that was pretty cool. And then the other thing is, as far as like when you have internships for the students, or how do student, like transportation, how does that happen? Is that the student's responsibility? Is there some role of the district? How does that work?
So when our students travel to internship, we tell them that they need to know how they're going to get there, although we do have bus passes. So if a vehicle is not, we try to make sure that wherever they're placed, it's somewhere they can easily get from the school, or if it's from home to the site. Because our courses, for instance, they're 2 periods. So if you are, let's say, period 1, 2 in medical occupations, you go to school in the first part of the year every day, periods 1 and 2. And then when it comes to internship time, 4 out of the 5 days of the week, you go straight to your internship, and then you go to school. And then 1 day is where they come back in class and they discuss what they've learned. They have journals. They, that's where they take their quizzes and tests and projects and things like that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Ready. Trustee Drone.
I just wanted to say that when my dad retired after 30 some odd years being an auto shop teacher, he was very pessimistic about the future for CTE in California. This was in the early 2000s, and it's just fantastic to see that we have so many people passionately committed to helping students experience career and technical education that might be different from their family, might be something that their family does, but I think it's just fantastic to have those opportunities. I remember when I was a senior, I had to do a project, and I was shadowing a periodontist, which is like a dentist, medical something, and I realized I did not want to go that way.
Exactly.
It was a fantastic experience, and so I'm glad that Angela, is it Angela? I'm glad that you have that experience, and that that's a pathway that you want to do, and I think it's great that we have those opportunities for them, so that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Wong.
Well, first, congratulations, Angelina. Sounds like this program has just been you've accomplished exactly what this program is for. And I have a nephew in the pre-vet program, UC Davis. It's amazing. He's done incredible things, and I think he's only a sophomore. I just have a question about these 2 numbers in the goal, which I think are great. But I want to understand kind of where, on the 5% each year to 60%, what's the starting point? Or where are we now to get to the 60?
Yeah, if we're talking about the college and career indicator, we're at 52%. And so our goal is to hit 60
And
in 2023-24.
And is that talking only about the CTE RP students, or is that like
No,
district-wide?
so that list there is what can deem you college and career ready. The CTE is a portion of that. It's one area of emphasis for us. So the LCAP isn't written simply for CTE, and Ms. Thede will, I'm sure, talk about that next. But this is one component to have our students be college and career ready, which is why we placed the goal of increasing the number of students who have a pathway completer. And on that, we're making great progress.
So this is I still am not understanding, is the 60% the whole college and career readiness, or just the CTE component?
60% for our students to be college and career ready based off of this list.
Okay.
That's the big goal. A sub-goal is to increase the amount of students that hit that through a CTE pathway, and that is up. Who's clicking? Thank you. And that is what's indicated on this slide.
Oh, and then that's what the 25 is?
Correct.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
what
yes.
I wanted to understand.
And that's 25% of our entire student senior class having completed a pathway, which makes them automatically college and career eligible.
Okay.
There's
got it.
plenty of other ways to also be deemed that, but this is one way that we focus on.
Yeah. Okay, that clears it up. Thank you.
Okay. You don't want to answer that?
Trustee Prusso.
Okay, I also want to congratulate Angelina on her UC Davis success and her veterinary clinic. I love the happy days. Not all days are happy days I'm sure, at the vet clinic. And also you're running. I've watched Angelina, and my daughter used to run with her, and then she never could catch up to Angelina, so she gave up. I just have some comments, really. I am on the board, the ROP board, so I get updates regularly about what's happening in ROP, and I just wanted to say a few things about what does happen. And one of the main things I think that Julie kind of didn't quite give enough credit for is the amount of funding that she and her team gather through grants and other ways. I know that it's a lot of work, and it's something that they're fully committed to do, and it saves our district's money and gives us opportunity to do more than we would have been able to do. So I just wanted to point that out. And also that Julie has been doing this for a while, and she does often lobby for career tech at statewide level, and she's going to Sacramento a lot and lobbying for this. So I think, to your point, Stephen, about just the importance of CTE, I think Julie really understands that, and she understands that at a broad level, and I think that that's important that we have that expertise. And then also, I just also wanted to say, I don't think we could do a lot of things we do in ROP without our industry connections. And again, our team at ROP, including our teachers, Julie and her team, are constantly making connections with people in industry. And because of that, we have all these connections and opportunities that come up often for our students. And I don't think we would have that if people weren't willing to make those connections. So I just wanted to point all of those things out. And I'm just always thrilled to be a part of it and to sort of watch it happen and support ROP as much as possible for just alternative ways. I love the careers by choice, not by chance. That's sort of the motto of ROP, and I just really strongly believe in that. So just wanted to thank you for coming and presenting, and thank you, Angelina, for also coming.
Thank you. Congratulations on getting the UC Davis. Great campus. I had two sons that graduated from there, so it's a really good campus. And we have a really good following that comes out of Livermore, so you're gonna know a lot of people up there. There's a lot of support for Granada kids and Livermore kids up there. Get a good bike. Yeah, it's a bike campus. And they pull you over if you do anything wrong. It's very strange. But, I was gonna ask Superintendent Duncan on this. Do we do follow-up, given that it's career readiness? Have we ever engaged in any follow-up, like on the kids, so that we have measures of success following their entry into the workforce, following the apprenticeships, measurables that show which pathways, as part of our guidance to say, this one's pretty good, or the field has evolved and this one might become obsolete, that kind of thing. But to measure, even if it's monetarily, the success or the accomplishment of folks after they've left us.
All the districts, I would say, struggle with how to do that. We do have CalPass, not CalPads, but CalPass that tracks within the California system where we can see where students go. I know our programs that are specific, like medical occupations and nursing, and the one in our developmental psychology of children, the ones where the teachers, the ones that have the internship component, those teachers, we have, I mean, both of our DPOC teachers were students in our program, and now we're the teachers. And we have that in a lot of our programs, to be honest. They were a brother of somebody that did. So we do keep track. We have Facebook pages and things like that, but there hasn't been other than sending the postcards that we are required to do to find out what people are doing, there isn't a program that we've all sort of decided on or what would be best. It would be great to be able to capture that because a lot of our students go out of state, only because maybe they can't get into the California systems, but they come back here, right? And so it's something, we talk about it all the time. I think you ask this question every year. We do our best to keep track, but is it in this great database? No, it is not. And so I know all the districts talk about this. So it's something that we continue to try to find the right vehicle to do that. But CalPAS is our best solution for California at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any questions, comments? All right, thank you very much. And for those watching or viewing audience, we're going to take a small break. It's been requested until 21:30. That's 13 minutes.
Recording
Oh.
stopped.
Absolutely.
Recording in progress.
On you. All righty, we're back. 21:30 hours, reconvening. And Mr. Manchak, if you could.
9.3 is Assistant Superintendent Melissa Thede, and she's going to provide some information about the LCAP. This is the first of several parts. We've broken it up this year, and the first part is an opportunity to reflect on the process of developing the LCAP. So, Ms. Thede.
Thank you, Superintendent Van Schack, and good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board and cabinet. I'm going to share with you a little bit of the process as well as the goals and priorities of our LCAP. As you're aware, our district has a mission for each student to graduate with the skills needed to contribute and thrive in a changing world. In order to do that, we need to know who our students are. You can see here on this slide an overview of the demographic information in terms of ethnicity, as well as the percentage of our students who are identified as socioeconomically disadvantaged, English learners, students identified for special education, our foster youth, and unsheltered youth. This is important information specifically because of the focus of our LCAP, but we'll get into that in just one moment. Our district operates under the Framework for Success, which highlights a multi-tiered system of support where we support students' needs academically, behaviorally, and with social emotional needs, utilizing data-informed decisions based on, I'm trying to read my own slide, based on timely interventions, assessments, making sure that everything is aligned so that we can see overall growth in our students using data to inform our decision making. So the local control funding formula is a model that was brought forth by the state of California in 2013-14. And it's the model that they use to calculate and provide funding to school districts. It gives a base funding as well as supplemental funding for our high need students. And back when I was referring to the students in our district on that previous slide, the LCAP is highlights how we expend that supplemental funding to support the needs of all students, but specifically English learners, low-income students, and our foster youth. So when we look at our LCFF calculation, and this is based on prior data, which, as we all know, how that changes throughout the year, the supplemental funding that we have identified for the LCAP is approximately $6.8 million. And when we identify what our goals are from the state, each district is required to create goals aligned with the state's 10 priorities. And this is critical information for you to know because these 10 priorities are broken into 3 areas. Those areas are student outcomes, conditions of learning, and student and community engagement. So looking at that first goal of student engagement or student outcomes, our goal in the LCAP, and you've heard it in a couple of presentations tonight from Lawrence, as well as our TVROP and Career Education CTE presentation, is to increase the percentage of students who graduate college and or career ready. The second goal around conditions of learning is to provide an engaging, clean, healthy, and physically and emotionally safe environment. And the third goal around engagement is to enhance parent and community engagement and communication within our schools. So that first goal, where we want to increase the percentage of students graduating college and career ready, Mr. Krolikowski alluded to this a little earlier, but these are some of the expenses that we fund out of our LCAP in support of that goal. I won't read them all to you, but you can see them there, and many of the things that were previously highlighted are listed here for you. You will, as Superintendent Van Schack shared, be hearing from me at the next several meetings. This is the first in a series, but we're just identifying the process and the expenses this evening. Under Goal 2, ensuring that we have an engaging, clean, healthy, physically and an emotionally safe environment, these are some of the expenses that we fund out of our LCAP in order to better meet the goals in these areas. Our third goal, focused on parent and community engagement and communication, has a smaller amount of funding put towards it, but rest assured it is definitely to target the needs of our students and our community to make sure that we're connecting with our community members. We are in the process currently of completing our LCAP listening campaign where we involve parent, guardian, and student groups, and you can see a list of those in the white block here on the left. If you are a parent in this district, then you would have received an email from our Community Engagement Department requesting input on this, and our employees have also received an email asking for their input, and those, our employees are listed on the right in that turquoise box. But it's important part of the LCAP to collect input from all of our educational partners to make sure that we are hearing the voices of our community as we develop this plan. That thought exchange went out earlier this week. This is the question that was asked. What are the most important things our district should focus on to support all students in the areas of academic achievement, physically and emotionally safe learning environments, and parent and community engagement? The thought exchange, if you participated, looks very similar to this here. And it's just one step in a very large process. So I want to give you an overview of the roadmap and what that looks like as we go through the year. In January, we started meeting with our committees and developing the plan. In February, we reviewed the LCAP guidelines, the goals and the priorities. In March, we started updating the metrics or the measurements that we have set for ourselves. It's a 4-year plan, and each year we're required to update our progress on each of those goals, as Mr. Kolakowski shared one of those with you in his presentation a little earlier. We're in April now, and we're engaged in our listening campaign. We will continue to work on our LCAP and revise that. We will post that for the public at the end of April, maybe early May. Based on the LCAP feedback that we're receiving through the listening campaign. We will also solicit questions from our public, which they can ask directly, will be answered by our superintendent, and those questions and answers are posted online for everybody to see in May. We will modify and finalize the LCAP throughout the month of May. And then we have 2 board meetings in the month of June, one on June 13th, where we will hold the public hearing. And the second meeting will be held on June 20th, at which point we will bring the finalized LCAP forward for your consideration and hopefully for your approval. So that is the LCAP process in a very condensed nutshell. And when I come back to you next time, we'll be talking a little bit more about the data and the metrics. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Does not appear to be any. I just have one on the committee input. Are there any, it's pretty broad, like school nurses, school psychologists, anyone from that?
Absolutely. And let me, if I just go back to that slide, over in staff groups, we listed the counselors specifically, but CSEA consists of our office employees, our clerical, our paraeducators predominantly. LEA is our school psychologists, our nurses, our teachers, speech and language pathologists, and counselors as well. So they are included in this as well. Our leadership team is the members of LMA and CMC, so that's our site administrators and our other classified managers. And SEIU is comprised of our child nutrition, our maintenance operation and facilities teams, and our custodial staff. So every employee in the district is included.
Okay. Thank you very much. I've been hearing this every year. This is a really good presentation, so thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All righty. No further questions. We'll close public comment on this. We have no cards. Next item, please.
All right, so we'll move on to 9.4, which is a review of enrollment and staffing. And I'd like to invite Mrs. Kelly Mankey, our Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services, to present that information to you tonight.
Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Vanchak, and Cabinet. Here to do our enrollment and staffing report for the spring of 2023. So in the spring of each year, we look at our projections for the following year, and so I will be sharing some data with you. We look at our 3 years worth of data. We look at historical attrition, new enrollment rates, housing projects that are going on in our community, and our attendance at our TK and kinder enrollment fairs. So those are the things that we consider. And we also look at all of our requests for transfers in our district as well to help balance our schools. So overall, what we see is that we've had fairly consistent model with our enrollment over the past 20 years or so. This year, our grades 10 through 12 are a little bit higher. We had a little bit of a bubble come through. We expect to remain stable, although we do anticipate about 200 more students next year. We think that this is due to the increased number of TK students, as well as those kinder and first grade parents who are bringing their kids back into the school system. And so we're seeing higher numbers at those lower levels. And we'll see a little bit of an increase there for about 200 students. Overall, the state has a decline of about 2%. And so we are doing pretty good in that area. And so we are prepared to handle all of these. We're adding 6 TK classes next year. And so we do have all of our rooms fully staffed, our schools or our classrooms all set for that transition. And we're working now on our hiring. So this is just kind of a chart so that you can see that stability right there. We had a little dip during the COVID years, but we're getting back at it. These are our TK through 5 enrollment numbers. And so you'll see a big jump here in our TK. Last year we had about 237 or so TKers, 270 TKers. And so we've changed the grade span for the age, the start date for when our kids come into school. And so we're going to see a big jump here. So we're really excited to welcome those little guys to our campuses. These are our numbers and our projections for grades 6 through 12. So remaining steady. So the state is still in a teacher shortage, but we have been really aggressive in getting our staffing out there and posting our positions for our retirements and temporary teachers and having people come back from their leaves. And so we have already filled most of our teaching positions. And so this weekend, the HR department and I will be heading to a job fair at the county. This is the first year that they're having a big county job fair. So we'll be there doing that. And then we also have another one with Cal State East Bay. So we have a couple more opportunities. Some of our hard to fill spots are getting filled. And so we're really excited about that. So word is out there that we're the place to be. I just touched on this on our recruitment efforts. We have done a few things throughout the year as well. We have some really great signage across the city. We have some, we use QR codes now for people to apply, so it's a much easier way to access us. And word of mouth gets out there as well, which is very helpful in our recruitment efforts. So again, we anticipate stability over the next few years. We anticipate our positions to be filled before the start of the school year. And we are working really collaboratively with our business department, with special ed, with HR, making sure that we're all in alignment and making the right decisions for our schools. This year, we have really worked on that communication with our principals and giving them kind of the go to post positions and hire and do what they need to do, and they're doing a great job of that as well. So this is an information item, and so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. I have actually 2 questions. Can you remind me what exactly are our current hard-to-fill positions that we have?
Yeah, so physics is one, our upper level math positions, and we have a couple math openings at LHS, and we had physics position that's open, and then sometimes special ed, we have some openings from mild mod to mod severe, but that's everywhere in the state. There's a lot of openings in special ed. Sometimes CTE, but we actually got an ag teacher hired for next year already, and so we're feeling good right there, but those are the big ones right now.
I'm curious, what about the dual immersion positions at Junction and their admin? Because I know there's been some change there.
So we have one position open there right now, and we actually just had a resignation, so we'll have 2.
Okay.
And so we're working with East Bay and some of the other schools to get the qualified people that we need that have the BCLAD credential. And so we are recruiting and talking to folks, and that will be a focus for us at the job fair this weekend as well.
Okay. And then, thank you. And then I have a clarifying, just consideration of temporary positions in prior year. Can you, I'm not sure I understand that. Just elaborate what that means.
Yeah, so what we look at is how we're going to fill. Sometimes we had a position for a special circumstance or for a grant-funded position and things like that. And so, for example, Youth Build has some grant-funded positions, so making in the future, we'll decide whether we continue with those. I know that we've had discussion about building that into Del so that those are temporary positions that we consider whether we're going to continue to fund those in the future or whether we'll get another grant or extend it and things like that.
I just wanted to say that I'm excited that enrollment is where it is and staying. That's, I'll sleep easy tonight with that. And the second thing, I just found out recently that Tracy Unified School District has adopted a policy of, I don't think it's next year, it might be the year after, that every student will be required to take physics. So
Will be required what?
to take physics to graduate. So hiring the physics class is probably going to be hard in the region to fill those positions. So.
Wow. Oh, okay. Trustee Wong?
We've had conversations about increasing the diversity of our teaching staff, and are we doing anything different to do targeted recruitment, to reach out to people of color to apply for our open teacher positions?
Yeah, so we have connections with a lot of our local universities. We're also, with our counseling positions, we're doing internship with the grant that we have, so we're able to get some folks in as well. And I know that we have a lot of different people with different backgrounds that are applying for those types of positions. So it's really unique to the schools that we reach out to. We certainly can't, hire based on something, but when they apply, there's nothing indicating, if they're a person of color or their diversity or their background until we get to that interview section. But absolutely, that's something. And going to an in-person job fair makes it an opportunity to meet people on the spot and convince them to apply and have that conversation before they even get to that level, which is really nice to do.
Sorry, my throat. I'm talking more in terms of targeted recruitment, like going to, alumni, affinity alumni associations, or, they're just different, I don't know what you call them, but associations that BIPOC folks are in, and if you can do more targeted outreach specifically to them. I mean, not preferring them when you're making the decisions, but in terms of where you're doing outreach to make sure we're getting our job descriptions out in the hands of people that we want to recruit.
Yeah, and that's a good, I'll write down some of those ideas as well. We do a lot of online social media postings and things like that, but reaching out to associations, I don't think we've done so much, but I can definitely work with HR on that. It's a good idea.
Okay, I have contacts at some of them that I can pass on.
Perfect. Thank you.
On the clarifying point from Trustee Guzman relative to the consideration of temporary positions, clarified it's like maybe positions that were funded by grants and things. Would that be coming, because not knowing what we don't know, I have no idea currently what positions are funded by grants or whether we're going to pursue those grants to maintain those, or how many there are. Would we be able to see that, to see what we're actually talking about? I mean, is it like one person that's funded by a grant, or are there 50 and 3 different grants, or?
Yeah, and sometimes there's just section allocations that are paid out of a grant, and sometimes it's a whole position. So we certainly have that information and can get you a list of positions that are grant funded.
Okay.
It's certainly closer to a handful than it is to a larger number.
Okay.
2 or 3 kind of thing.
And then what program it's associated with? Like, is it a supportive role, or is it a primary thing? That type of thing.
Yeah, and sometimes they're connected to our LCAP goals. It might be a specially funded position. In the past, we've paid for counselors out of grant funding, but we're rolling that into general fund. And so the way that we love our employees through grant funding are also permanent employees. And so how we fund them, wanting to keep them, but through attrition and temporary teachers and people coming on leaves, we keep all of the people that we usually hire into those positions, but we can certainly get a list for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then secondly, thank you for looking at, for giving this to us now. And just to clarify, when it says that we anticipate the majority of our teaching vacancies will be filled by the end of April, and then to focus hard on hard to fill positions, can we see a list of to quantify how many open positions we have, what specifically those positions are in, so that we can actually, because that's something that a lot of constituents came to us last year and asked. I know at Junction, there was a specific problem, and I just want to see what positions, what we're actually doing, how many there are. So when we're asked that question, I'd like to have a direct reply where it's not we're trying, but this is what we did. Because it sounds like we're making significant headway in a time when it's difficult for everyone. But just so that we have that really, really specific, maybe not down to this teacher, but
I can give you a weekly update on positions open and status of each. Last year, as you recall, one of the issues we had is a sort of a very late start. We needed to wait till the parcel tax was decided one way or the other, and so we froze a lot of positions until mid to late May, which is really late when you're starting your recruiting. This year, we started our recruiting in late January, and so we're much further ahead than we were. But I can provide you through our HR department with sort of just a weekly update of here are positions, numbers of positions open, and the status of each. That might be helpful.
yeah. So so we
Like
can
I said,
actually see.
quantifying it is, we have 1,500 employees, so we're going to have positions open, and we have everything from food service to physics teachers, and so I can certainly break that down for you just so you see where our current focus is.
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful too if we can see, as much as it would identify, it seems like a lot of concern came from Junction last year. So if it's down to the site, if it just says we have 27 positions, but if 18 of them are at a single school site, that's a problem. And what is driving that problem? So we can actually get to the cost, we can actually remedy it. It sounds like we're ahead of the game, we are remedying it, and that will probably, put an end to it.
Yeah, and what's been really great this year that I've noticed in our trends is that we have several sites that nobody was displaced and they didn't have any openings. And so, in some things we added a TK class so that, kept people there and things like that. So we can easily run that for you. We're about halfway there in terms of our staffing right now. And so it's exciting. And so hopefully this weekend we can capture, although we'll be competing with all of our neighboring districts. And so we'll have to get there early and be ready for the wave of newcomers.
Okay.
I think another thing that's been really interesting this year is just seeing the number of applicants per position. And so we open a third grade position and we have 22 applicants, and comparing that maybe to last year or prior years. And so that is an indication of interest in our district. And although there is a teacher shortage, there are teachers who are still interested in working in great places. And so if we present as a great place to work, then we'll have applicants. Some are more challenging than others, physics for sure, but we're doing really well. Our VP positions that were recently closed, I think we had 24 expressed interest, so that's pretty good for the positions that we have open.
And it's just one thing that I just think that needs to be said is that, one of the partners we worked with was LEA, currently, CSEA and SEIU, but it was primarily LEA that drove that conversation on fair compensation packages. And it sounds like if there's more fruit on the tree because of our recruitment, it would seem that it would be reflective of the actions that the district took to looking at fair compensation packages for our teachers and psychologists and our employees. That has to be a factor because that was one of the things that they came to us. So, it's nice that we have partners like that where they actually worked with us to put that red flag up, and we were able to address that with community support. So that's got to be a really positive thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. Any other questions? Okay.
So we will stay with Ms. Mankey. Remember we completed 10.1 and 10.2, so we're going to move on to 10.3. This is an action item, and this is the approval of the 23-24 Comprehensive Safety School Plans.
Thank you. Getting myself organized here. All right, so we'll get started with our comprehensive school safety plans. And so our comprehensive school safety plan is the document that's required by all school sites that puts a collection of procedures and processes that happen on the school site, everything from their plan of action with different educational codes and board policies, and also which also include our emergency and safety drills. So these plans for each of our school site have emergency plans, but it also talks a little bit about their data, how their social emotional well-being of their students, how people feel on their campus. And it is a document that is approved by their school site council and created with their teams. So when they develop their plan, it's their school site council, their safety committee, their teachers. They get input from students and parents along the way of things that they're going to work on. Throughout the year, you've seen the presentations from each of the school sites, and they're talking about their school plans and what they're working on. And this is a kind of an advanced component of that, because it gets into the safety measures and their procedural manual, basically, for what they need to do on their school sites to keep them safe and to keep the kids feeling secure and feeling like it's a good place for them to be. This plan is updated annually, and then it must be approved by March by their school site councils. And so we're bringing them to you today. Some of the data that they look at when they're creating their comprehensive school safety plan are the ones listed above, with behavior, suspensions, California Healthy Kids Survey. So they look a lot at how kids are feeling, but also what the campus looks like. Are there areas that they need to fix? Are there William X issues? Is there, like it says, vandalism data? You know, are there different things that the school needs to address as a maintenance and operations and facilities piece, as well as the social emotional piece of their students? So some of the strategies and activities, the first goal that they have, and all of our school sites have the same goal, although their program might look a little different. So I brought a sample. I know you've all received it, but this is kind of the document in full, right? So it's a big, heavy, thick document. It cites a lot of ed code and board policy. But what's different for each school site is the overall, what their school values are, what they're working on, and what their plan is. Everything else that has to do with how they behave in a fire drill, how an active shooter drill, their policies and procedures around evacuations are going to be very similar but specific to their school sites. So their first goal is providing an environment that promotes a culture of respect among students and staff. And so this talks a little bit about the results that come of that goal and what they need to work on. So they have the cost team. I know Trustee Drew, you were talking about this. Our coordination of services team ensures rapid response to student needs. We have a panorama survey. We have California Healthy Kids Survey. And then everybody at the school site modeling that good behavior. You heard Ms. Starkovich today talk about some of the things they're doing on their school site to address these. And that's where some of the different nuances will come on at each school. The second goal revolves around environment. So review and assess the school site disaster plan in order to increase safety on our campuses. And again, that's part of what the safety team does, and the school site council will review and make sure that we're aligned to the things that we need to be doing. The number of drills, like once a month fire drills, would be included in this. Who's in charge when there's a disaster? What's your plan look like? Though it doesn't give you specific details about evacuations and the map and things like that. Because this is a public document, we don't always want to share that information, but it does talk about emergency supplies and what we do in all the different scenarios that we could think of. Then there's training that takes place. So when you have a plan like this, it's really important that your staff know about it. Oftentimes it sits on the shelf somewhere. So we want to make sure that we train our staff on what our evacuation procedures are, what our policies, our procedures, and notifying our parents about that as well, but especially the students, what they do in the event of an emergency. Again, the plan needs to be reviewed and updated and approved by school site council by March 1st, and then we move it on to our district board for final approval. What we plan to do moving forward, in the past, we've given some flexibility to our principals on what their plan looks like. Next year, we're really going to give a template so things are very uniform and they all look the same. And while they might have a little change here or there based on their school site, the plan itself will look the same everywhere. These are some of our partners that we work with in helping us to provide safety at our school sites and in our district. And it is the superintendent's recommendation to approve the 23-24 comprehensive school safety plans.
Okay, we have no public cards in this. We'll close public comment on this one. Any questions, comments? Okay, all righty. Surely, Trustee Drone.
So I've been on a couple school site committees and looked at this document, and two things that I'm kind of interested in. First is how principals are trained or what professional learning they get to navigate and facilitate input from the school site council in that, to make it that it's not just a rubber stamp process, that it's an actual living document. So I was wondering if you could comment about that.
So I work closely with I work with all the principals. I work closely with a couple, and this is an area that I think every principal struggles with, getting a good school site council team, that people come every meeting and things. And so they really, now that we're back in person, I think that they're getting a lot more positive feedback from parents wanting to come on campus and be a part. And so they do their best, because this plan, it goes along with everything that we talked about tonight between the LCAP and even ROP and dealing with the school safety. All of those are combined to create their school, right? To make it safe and have this comprehensive plan of what we do. And so they don't just solicit it from school site council, they do it in other ways with surveys and things like that too. So I think there's lots of opportunity for parents to give input, and I think that they're really trying to get that feedback from their parents. And I think we've seen some things. I oversee maintenance, operations, and facilities, and just the work orders that come in and things, trying to fix things on school sites, and where we listen to what the parents send in, or things like the sidewalk is cracked, and going through processes to get those things fixed. So I think we're seeing more input from parents at school site council than we have in the past.
And then the second is, I know that, well, at least I didn't anticipate the power outage that Rancho experienced. And is that part of the discussion moving forward to put this on people's radar? I know that you talked about distributing walkie-talkies to deal with this, but I think that, thinking about the internet going down is affecting us in ways that we didn't really think of, not having landlines and things like that. So I'm just a little bit curious about that as part of the school site safety plan.
Yeah, I think there's within the plan, there's requirements by Ed Code of what you have to include, like your fire drills and your emergency evacuation procedures. Some of the incidentals that come up are more district decisions of how those are handled. So it doesn't just say, like, usually it would say a power outage, but it's like the result of something, and how there's an earthquake and there's a power outage. It doesn't directly talk about or ask you to reflect on that specific incident. And I think because if it was an emergency situation where there's a wire flashing in the air, for example, where it becomes something where we need to evacuate or move kids, that's more of what your safety plan is going to address than the incidentals that might happen, and those will become more conversations I think we'll be having.
What is the frequency? I know it's varied, but are the majority of these, or which of these are actually implemented through practice? all of them? I mean, I know you do fire drills and earthquake drills, and there's a periodic thing like that. And the reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if there's an opportunity soon that maybe the board could go to one of our campuses and look at, because there is a lot of public concern for student safety, and whether it's active shooter or it's, there's a threat on campus, things like that. To be able to, I understand the public document side, and but if we could actually see it, what does a lockdown look like? Do we rehearse that? And I know that we do, but as a board, 9 years on the board, I've never witnessed it. And I think that it might be educational to actually go and see how the kids organize and how a principal organizes to actually see it implemented. Just personally, I don't know if there's a flavor for that on the whole board, but I think
A lot of times the drills are pre-planned. And so like we want to make sure we don't do them during state testing and things like that when we have our drills. And so we could certainly talk to some folks and find out when they're having those drills so that we can include you.
And I'm not talking about a fire drill, because I think everyone's ever seen a fire drill and an earthquake drill and the old nuclear drills, but I'm talking about something where there's multiple partners. I mean, I was in public safety for 28 years, and so I know that I was one of those agencies that responded to school drills. And so there's usually a coordination, there's a communication piece, there's an emergency operations center, this district office is an EOC. And so to see that implemented, to see everyone in their role, who the PIO is, who's the incident commander, how the liaison works, if that is a drill that happens periodically, and if it's not, it probably should, but.
Yeah, we do a drill once a year. It's called the California Shakeout, and it's in October. And it's where we bring up the Emergency Operations Center in this room, in fact. And so it's a district-wide earthquake drill, and so that would be a great opportunity for you guys to sort of see how, we have 50 people functioning in here, communicating with school sites and getting information and sending out, we have scenarios where we send out help and things like that. So I think that specific drill would be a great one for you guys to witness how we operate.
Yeah, that was Ellen Corbett. She was our state senator, and we used to conduct that in Hayward. And it was October 20th, and they'd have it every day at 10, at the same time, at 10 in the morning. I'm thinking that is good to see how this, but I'd like to see the piece also, even if it takes twice, I'd like to see the piece of how a school site reacts to an emergency other than the routine earthquake drill. Some of the things that we see that are in the public eye are about entrances, and we have secured our campus. We've done a lot of things that we don't put out in public, but to actually see as a board member how those actions, how those precautions have taken place, how we can liaison with the police department, how the fire department integrates to that, how our communication piece works, to see that, because I think it helps us address some of the concerns that the community has put in front of us. And it's just,
a lot of times some of the drills are combined. So while we could combine and do 3 of the different types of drills all in one, right? It could be a lockdown that then turns into a fire drill, right? You try to utilize your time when it comes to trainings, but I'll certainly reach out to some principals and see when something like that's happening. Tracy Christmas has worked closely with our police department and brought in our active shooter, active attacker is what we call it now, drills with the police department. And we did that in the fall, and then in November, we did it with we had some sessions at our professional development day that all of our staff was able to attend. And so we can certainly work on that.
okay. And it kind of goes into Trustee Druin's concern, whether it's loss of internet, loss of communications. All the post-incident critiques I've ever been part of, that's the number one thing, it's communication. So if you lose internet and you lose power and you have an incident, how do you maintain that? What was your plan? What's your plan and your backup plan? And it's just stuff that I know we're probably rehearsing. I know there's a lot of money we've spent. I know there's a lot of actions we've taken. I'd just like to witness it and actually see what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Trustee Pruso.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. And then I just had a question. Is there a way to audit whether or not the schools, like for example, let's say, our schools have a barrier around them, but it only works as long as the gates are closed, right? Is there ever a time during the year where there might be an audit to make sure that the doors are closed, that people are aware that just because your classroom door goes outside to an ungated area doesn't mean that you can prop it open. If that is one of the barriers to getting in. Do we do anything like that, or is there a way to audit that or check on that? Because I know there are some schools that rely on the actual school wall with doors as part of the barrier.
So, in working with the police department and with our school resource officers, when we presented information about our active attacker trainings, some of our school sites reach out directly to have the school resource officer or Tracy come to their school sites and do those audits. You want us to come to your classroom, let's see what type, like at East, they have some big windows, right? So where would we hide in the event that there's an active attacker or intruder on our campus? And so we have gone into classrooms and physically done it with the students and with the teachers. And as a result, some really great ideas came out of it. We used to put construction paper on the little windows of our doors, and now they make little shades that you can put there instead. So you're not putting a whole bunch of paper and things. And there's some ideas out there that they offer to the classroom teacher, not only to feel better, but knowing you're responsible for these 30 plus students, and then how are you going to support them in this trying time kind of thing, or stressful time. So absolutely, we do that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know we do all our stuff in public, but when it comes to these finite security measures, we do that. There's a lot there. And it'd just be nice to be able to even have a way to address the concerns by having visualized it and understand the parameters of which we hold some of those things, a little closer.
Yeah.
For the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
What kind of timeline are we looking at? 'Cause I know the school year is going to get closed, and then we get graduations, and it's April. What are we looking at, do you think?
To do a drill?
No, to be able to see this, to actually see it. Can we see it this year?
Yeah, I need to check with principals. It's some that haven't done their drills yet this year and are planning it, or if they're planning it in the fall. So I'll need to let you know. I'll get back to you.
Okay, all right.
This is an item that you need to approve.
Yes. All right.
President White, I move that we approve the 2023-2024 Comprehensive School Safety Plans.
I second.
You have a motion by Trustee Prusso in support of the superintendent's recommendation on this item, and it has been seconded by Trustee Wong. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
President Bueno?
Aye. Thank you very much. All right. All right, we're going into our consent. I think there are 15 on consent. 11-2 to 11-16. Yes, so I'd entertain a motion on moving the consent items together unless someone would like to remove one. We have no public comment cards. We'll close public comment.
I move that we approve consent items 11.2 through 11.16 in their entirety.
I think we need to pause for a second
Okay.
because the board meeting minutes
Oh, right, that's right.
are on there for March 21st. So maybe we need to move
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
So go to 15.
I'll amend my motion. I move we approve consent items 11.2 through 11.15 in its entirety.
I'll second.
Okay, without any further discussion, if you call the roll on that.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
President Bueno?
Aye. The motion carries 5-0, unanimous. Trustee Prusso, on the separate item?
Yeah, not yet.
Oh, you want to do it afterwards? Okay. I know,
This is what happened
in
last
there.
time, too. It
Yeah.
actually says down there.
I know it does. We can-
Okay.
We can
All
do it.
right.
It's just an order thing. All right, so we have some
I
resos.
understand. I move that we approve resolution number 43, 22, 23 through, yikes, 4522. Can I do it like that?
Yes,
23.
sure.
In their
But there's-
entirety.
It's 07 though.
Oh.
Because there's a
Oh,
number of
that's,
them.
okay, through 07,
7,
77, 22, 23.
okay. It's a lot of those resos for the
Yeah.
retirees. Okay, so, and do we have a second on that?
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Prusso to move the consent resos 43 for the current year through 77 for the current year. It's been seconded by trustee Druin. Any more discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you call the roll.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye, that motion carries 5-0. And now if you'd like
Okay,
to move
now I move
1116.
that we approve consent item 1116, the board meeting minutes from March 21st. One of you guys.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, motion to move 1116. And by trustee Druin and seconded by trustee Druin. Prusso and Druin.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
I wasn't here. I
Abstain.
Abstain due to
Abstain.
absence. Abstain due to absence.
And President Bueno.
Abstain due to absence. So that motion carries
Wait for me to
3.
say your name.
That motion carries 3-0. You're quite fired up tonight.
I just.
I'm not sure what it is. Maybe there's a couple too many Diet Pepsis.
No, I don't drink Diet Pepsi.
Diet
It's Diet
Coke.
Coke.
Diet Coke,
Oh,
okay.
please.
I don't want to advertise falsely. Okay, that motion carries 3-0 with the 2 abstentions due to absence.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to go into board member reports. You have a lot of energy. Trustee Prusso.
Okay. I'm going to try to go fast. Oh, I'm waiting for my board report. Okay. We had the spelling bee for the 7th and 8th graders, which was great. Obviously, we all had spring break, which I think was really nice. We met with the library plan committee, and I think we're finalized our library plan, so hopefully that will be coming to the board soon. I actually missed the Health and Wellness Committee, but I got a report. Their focus right now is working on language for the student wellness board policy. They're working on just updating the board policy. And had an opportunity to go to Altamont Creek with Mr. Connors, our curriculum for our elementary education, and observe some of our teachers doing their professional development for our math education. Just wanted to say what a great group of teachers and brave students that fulfilled their roles as students perfectly. They asked all the right questions and distracted themselves all the right ways, so it was perfect. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ag Day today at Livermore High School, and just wanted to thank Mr. McNeely, Ms. Porter, and Ms. Calistini, and all of the Ag students, and all of our 3rd graders who came, and it was really exciting to see all the animals and everything that was happening there.
Thank you very much. Trustee Guzman.
Yes, thank you. So similarly attended the middle school spelling bee. Thank you to Trustee Druin for attending PCIC on my behalf. Also, Ag Day was my very first time going to Ag Day, and I was not only, I didn't realize the high school, first of all, the campus was that large. That was one observation. And then the second, to see all the animals. And I'm just going to put a plug, Druin. We did, which egg did the hen come from? Or wait,
Crushed me.
which egg? Yeah, there were like 5 hens and 5 eggs, and you had to pick. What was the tally?
Oh, yeah, me 0. Guzman, all the points.
Right. So that was fun, and just being among all the kids. And then I even told him, I was like, "Yeah, I even got to shear the sheep." And he's like, "You did?" I'm like, "We were standing right next to each other." No, I did not. So it was great. But thank you.
Perfect. Trustee Druin.
I had the privilege of attending PCIC. It was wonderful, just a fantastic resource for parents in the community to parents involved in clubs to engage and support each other. It was really cool to be part of that. I was also invited and attended a Humans Against Hate Speech Club at Granada High School. I witnessed enthusiastic students collaborating to make our school spaces that proactively stop hate speech and other forms of discrimination. Also found out that Jessica Mann, my student teacher, she was my student teacher, works there, which was fantastic. Small world. I also just got back from Chicago. I attended the American Educational Research Association's annual conference in Chicago, where I had the privilege of visiting Evanston Township High School. The school looked at the demographics of their honors level courses, and they noticed a mismatch between the students that were in the honors courses and their school sites. They saw that it wasn't the same and tried to address those equity gaps. And I think it's amazing the work that they were able to do to make their school more equitable, especially with regard to marginalized populations. And a random fact is that my great-grandfather taught calligraphy at Evanston Township High School. I also attended Ag Day. It was rad. It's a fantastic community resource. I think props to the people that's, raised money to support it and fund it. And it's just a community endeavor and just wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wong.
Last Wednesday, Trustee Prusso and I attended the Silicon Valley Math Initiative training for our elementary school teachers, and I really love the approach of re-engagement in math. It's very promising. And on Saturday, I attended the Tri-Valley Innovation Fair put on by Quest Science. Really amazing, 70 booths, a lot of them run by young people, lots of kids, families, really great. Yesterday, we had an intergovernmental meeting, and this is a committee with City of Livermore, LARPD, and school district. Really great collaboration opportunities. I just want to mention one thing, that this summer, for the first time, City of Livermore is hosting summer internships for high school and college students who want to learn about working for the city and all the different jobs, and really great way to learn about a career path. And then a couple announcements. Tomorrow at Croce Elementary is the Climate Expo, and it looks really great. I plan to attend. And then on Friday, Rancho is having their 50th anniversary celebration, and Maryland Avenue is doing the Spring Festival, which is really fun. I went last year. That's it.
Thank you. I too went to the Ag Day, and it's a great event. We're one of the very few programs that support and participate in FFA, the younger kids in the 4-H. They do a nice job over there, and we've got a lot of community support with the Stockman's Association, and we've got a little ranch. I know we're going to get to the little ranch. I know we got rained out as part of the last deal, but we're going to get to the ranch. We're going to see what this ranch looks like. I see you back there. We're going to get over there. I'm going to expect you in some cowboy boots and a little ball cap. Yeah, I bet you do. So we're gonna. That was real good, and I missed the last meeting. I was sick, and I just wanted to extend an appreciation and a little bit of acknowledgement, more than we maybe have already, to Coach Q over at Granada High School. That's he's the men's basketball coach, and he brought a public high school to the state Division I championships, which is a historic event. And the last people you're going to compete against as you go through the quarters and the regionals are private schools from all over. And we played against a powerhouse school, and got to play up there where the Kings are playing, and the Warriors played. Actually, they dropped 2, but it's a significant accomplishment. It just goes to show that the kids in a public school can compete with anyone if you put the right people in front of them. And I think that's some of the value of the fine teachers and the people that we have here in this district, is that we're seeking excellence. And we do it in all different ways. And as you scale excellence, it's contagious. And I know the buzz on that campus was electric. And that's not just due to one person, but it takes one person to start it. And Coach Q's that guy. And he has a nice staff of kids and some alum and kids who played there, and a lot of public school kids playing on a Division I championship game in a professional stadium with thousands of people watching. Something to see. And that kind of goes into what Loudon Philbrick was talking about today when we did our national letter of intent, and you got a whole table full of kids going off to college with financial aid because of their student athlete participation. So something folks will have heard me say, and I'll continue to say, is I strongly support, obviously, the education and the arts, but 54% of our high school kids are student athletes, and I support the full funding of that endeavor. Just one of the equity stats that I've been told is that 80% of the female CEOs in this country were college athletes. And when you support athletics, you get great things out of it. I think it goes to solve a lot of problems, and it helps with social and emotional issues. It helps with stability. It builds community. And when I was in a position to hire people in public service, I looked at that as a key indicator of success, and I was very seldom wrong in that endeavor. So I strongly support the effort and the support of student athletes. So thanks again to Coach Q.
So I feel it might be worthwhile this evening to reassure parents and members of our community that despite all the political rhetoric that seems to occupy the media, our primary focus is still on how to improve achievement for the students of Livermore. Whether it's looking for ways to improve instruction and ways to better identify students in need of additional support, or ways to better connect with students so that they may be fully engaged in their education, we really prefer to spend our time and energy on those things that matter most to improve student outcomes. Of course, we recognize that there are important questions that need to be asked and answered about what goes on inside our classrooms. We also know that those questions are best answered by site leaders. Though we would not want to dissuade anyone from speaking on these topics in public, if you're seeking solutions or answers, the best place to go is your site principal. If they are unable to provide the information or action you need, we have a number of experienced directors and assistant superintendents who can be available to you. If you're still unable to get what you need, you can contact me directly. We are confident that our team can work with you to ensure that your student is getting the best that we can give. Please give us a chance to work on your behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Van Schack. All right, with no further business, we are going to adjourn at 22:26.
Recording stopped.